works because of all the money. Hey, we're paying this money to you guys. You guys are giving us it would have been Geno Smith versus Jordan Love. I mean, you could have paid me to watch that. It's crazy. So Landon, it's like there's been all this talk about Rodgers, what he went through when he comes back, and then with Russell Wilson coming back too early. I mean, in the offseason, what do you see for both these quarterbacks in the offseason? I want to talk about that a little bit with everybody. I mean, Rodgers is going to be a free agent. Wilson's got another year left on his contract, but there's been all this trade talk throughout the offseason this past year. What do you see for both these quarterbacks in the offseason?
For Aaron Rodgers, I think he's done in Green Bay after this. I think this is definitely the last dance. I don't think he was joking about that when he said that. I think he's going to go out. He's going to test free agency. Where he's going to go, I don't know yet. That's a conversation for a different day. But I think Rodgers is done in Green Bay. I think they'll have one good run. We're going to talk about that later, though. As far as if the Super Bowl goes. And then for Russell Wilson, I think he's definitely gone after the season. I think he's going to demand a trade because of the offensive line struggles that we were talking about. He has 2 seconds in the pocket on a good play. So I don't think there's any way that he's in Seattle next year. If he is, I would be shocked. I think it'll either be a trade kind of thing, but what are you going to get for him, right? He's going up there in age. He's still performing, but he's going up there in age. I think both of these guys find new homes this offseason.
Interesting. Well, Russell Wilson's going to is 32. He's 32 right now, so he's not that old, and obviously with Cam Newton coming back yesterday, we'll talk about Cam in a little bit, proven at age. But Coach, I mean, he'd be giving up receivers of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who is one of the best set of receivers in the league. Even so, how can you walk away from guys who can catch the ball like that?
I mean, but the thing is, they're just deep routes. They don't run routes. If you watched last night, or yesterday during the game, every ball was vertical. It was 10, 14 plus yards. They don't run routes. So you have to have a better offensive line. You need to have a running game just to utilize what you got as receivers who you get. I don't agree with Landon. I think he's gonna stay there because they're not gonna give him up unless you give the boatload. You got to give the boat because if Deshaun is asking for 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds, then guess what? You better get 3. At least you can say he's a proven Super Bowl winner, which he won a Super Bowl. And I think Aaron Rodgers, man, honestly, truthfully, I think he's going to stay there. If Green Bay wants him back, I truly believe he's going to stay there. Aaron Rodgers is a big crybaby. He whines, he pouts, he gets what he wants. And guess what? And that's what they pretty much gave him everything he asked for. Hell, my man had a fake COVID test. This whole time he was like, I had the shot. And guess what? Green Bay said, you know what, Aaron? We got you. We'll take this $400,000. It's nothing. So, and the matter of fact, that's probably why they sharing some of the what's the name? The stocks. They like, hey, we're gonna get this $400,000 back. So I truly, I think they both gonna stay there. More so Wilson because of his contract, and he can't go anywhere because you're on the contract. And I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna look. He's gonna look around because who are you gonna go? Carolina, Denver. Carolina, Denver. That's not
Houston.
He's not going to Houston.
New York.
He's not going to New York.
Washington.
He wouldn't. No.
Philadelphia.
If you look at what they have,
Miami.
The only 2 teams is Carolina and Denver that has an opportunity. I wouldn't even because rest of them they ain't even make the playoffs. At least you can say Carolina is battling. They had 4 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks so far this year.
Right.
Denver has the receivers, the parts to do something, and that let him do whatever he wants to call them. But other than that, I think he's gonna stay right back in Green Bay.
I mean, I think Denver and Washington are a quarterback away though. So
Washington? No.
You don't think Washington's a quarterback away?
No.
I don't know. That defense has been underwhelming. I will give you that.
No.
But hey,
that defense looked good yesterday. That's for sure.
They did look good yesterday. How about it, Coach? They did look good.
They did look good. They did look good. But I'm not betting my money. I won't bet the house on Washington. Even if they had Aaron Rodgers, I still because what you got to realize, Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers of old. You go look at his,
He's
yeah.
playing good.
No. Go watch last game. He threw out routes, he throws screens, and he throws the drag across the middle. Like he's not doing anything special. They running for 150 yards. It's not like he's dropping back 40 times and making throws.
Oh, true. But, remember Peyton Manning's last year with Denver. He wasn't throwing those kind of deep balls either.
No, of course.
Underneath. So, yeah, I mean, it could be interesting, So, Ray, where are you at with this? Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. Where are you at with this?
Well, I think Russell Wilson probably on his way out of Seattle, unless he demands his offensive line gets stronger. If his offensive line don't get stronger, you can see Russell Wilson out because Russell Wilson's running for his life. He's getting injured. Who wants to be behind that line right now? You don't know how many seconds you're going to have to throw the ball. Your minimum seconds you have to throw the ball is between 3 to 4 seconds. He's getting probably about 2 to 2.5, maybe 1 at the most, unless he's rolling out and stuff like that. So, to me, Russell Wilson could be on his way out of Seattle along with Pete Carroll. It's just the facts. And if you look at Aaron Rodgers, now 3 things has happened to Green Bay right now. Green Bay just announced they're going to sell 300,000 shares at $300 starting Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time to fans. So if you want to buy a stock in there and the thing, you got $300, you can go get your at least one stock in the Green Bay team. And if they're selling stock, they got a plan. They're probably going to keep Aaron Rodgers there. So, I mean, because if you don't have Aaron Rodgers there, to be the focal point of their sales. But then again, you only got a regular season guy. He only won 1 Super Bowl and playoffs. He's been getting out. So, I mean, go ahead, Coach.
And to piggyback on it, people criticize Jordan Love. He practiced Friday without the 2 starting receivers. Like, it wasn't like he had it on Tuesday and say, hey, you're the starting quarterback. It happened Friday. And by that time, you're pretty much wrapping up everything. And then your receivers just came back that afternoon. So, like, it wasn't – I can't give him that one game and say, oh, he's terrible. Because even if they do stick with Green Bay, that money that Aaron Rodgers been ate up, man, you could get another lineman. You can get some defensive players. Like, you could spend that money for him. Because he's an athletic quarterback because you can run a lot of things with him.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's true. It's true, right? It's and the whole thing is really funny because these quarterbacks. I mean, that they're paid so much money, and the franchises are so dependent on it. I mean, it's a quarterback-driven league as we're all learning. They say defense wins championships, but the bottom line is it's the quarterback nowadays. So. Even when the guys are getting to their mid-30s, late 30s, I mean, Tom Brady has proven, which we'll go to next, that, you take care of yourself, you can play to your mid-40s. I mean, hell, the way, physically Brady can probably play till he's 50, but, who knows? Who knows? It's going to be an interesting offseason for both teams and both players. And the rest of the season with Green Bay, I think if Green Bay wins the ring this year, if they win the championship, Aaron's done. Because Aaron...
You think he retire?
No, but he's done with Green Bay. Because he say, I won you 2 championships. I've got nothing else to prove here. I'm going to go test the market. I think
they'll make it to the NFC Championship, and then
like they always do. They'll probably make the NFC Championship.
I don't think they'll make it to the championship.
I think they're second round. They're second round and you out.
I think Tampa beats them. I think the Rams beat them. I think the Cowboys beat them. I don't know, but we'll talk about that. But
it's going to be interesting. All right, let's just talk about the Cowboys for a minute. The Cowboys came back yesterday. They actually showed up. And they actually played well. They beat a team that they're supposed to beat, unlike last week. So, Tony, if you just want to chime in real quick about your Cowboys, you have 1 minute to talk about your Cowboys. So go ahead.
Oh, always. I mean, it was a bounce back game. I'm not going to sit here and say that Dallas, is back as far as competing goes. They probably shouldn't have lost last week. And then they came back and they just beat a bad Falcons team. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. If anything, the last couple of weeks has showed us the upsets are everywhere in the NFL any given Sunday. Denver beat Dallas, Miami beat the Ravens, and the team with no name beat Coach's Buccaneers. So I gotta be a little excited about it. I know Coach ain't tripping about it, but I had to throw it out there.
No, definitely. Well, just Tony, one more quick question, and then we're gonna move on. Do you think Prescott just wasn't healthy last week, and that's the reason that they looked as bad as they looked, and he's healthy this week?
I don't know if it was health. I think it was just one of those Dallas kind of got in their own way. We've seen teams that kind of just they start to steamroll. They're on like a 6-game win streak. They beat a Minnesota team that they probably weren't supposed to beat with a backup quarterback that really had never taken a snap in the NFL. So I think Dallas just got a little too cocky going into a Denver game. They figured, they don't have Von Miller. They got Teddy Bridgewater. They're kind of in a rebuilding year themselves. So we'll roll over that. We're looking ahead towards next week. We have to face this team. So I think, all honesty, that's what it was. I don't think it was as much as Dak's health as Dallas just got in their own way.
All right, cool. Well, that's the end of the Cowboy segment for today. Thank you, Tony. we'll have more Cowboy talk next week. We'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to Coach's beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the thing is, people are saying, they lost before their bye week. They lost after their bye week. Is it time to panic? I don't think so at all, because Gronk's out, AB's out. They're not fully stacked. They've got injuries. Guys get hurt during the year. So Coach, I mean, are you on board with that theory that it's injuries right now and they're just kind of holding their place?
I'm not worried about it. Like, my biggest thing is with people, they're gonna lose games. They lost 3 games so far this year. Yeah. A lot of people, when they lose 3 or 4 games, just like the Chiefs. Chiefs lost 4 games, but they're winning the division right now.
Right.
Like everybody it's still early. Like, we're at the halfway mark. So they're gonna make the playoffs. Making the playoffs is not the issue. It's not what the biggest and most important issue for us is. 1 is cleaning up the stupid penalties. Right. 2, getting everybody healthy. Because once AB comes back, now you have a legit route runner. Don't get me wrong, Mike Evans is good, but for what Mike Evans does, he's just a vertical guy. He can't run routes. He's a vertical guy. So that doesn't really fits what Tom Brady is. Then, I mean, you got 3 receivers out and 2 tight ends out right now. So for me, they want the Washington football team. They won. Congratulations. It's good. But guess what? When January hits, you're going to be watching Tampa Bay in the playoffs, and you're going to be at the house.
No, and you're absolutely right. And Ray, if you look at yesterday's stats for Tampa, you see where Brady threw the ball. A lot of those balls that would have gone to AB or would go to Gronk. He's got Cameron Brate was the only tight end that seemed to catch a ball yesterday, and the receivers they're not making the plays that an AB would make. So it's pretty evident that his 2 favorite weapons not being there, is affecting the game plan. I mean, it's not Brady's fault that these other guys can't run the routes the way those all pro guys can.
For sure.
Yeah, if you look at it this way too, they didn't get the running game going either. I mean, 11 carries for 47 yards for Fournette, 1 carry for 4 yards for Gino Bernard, and then Brady carried for 1 for 2 yards. They had 53 yards and 13 carries. And the longest run was 8 yards by Fournette in that ball game. They got to get the running game back going too. I mean, you can't solely rely on Tom Brady's arm at his age of over 40 years old. So I mean, you got to get the running game. He's got to have an effective running game. They got to get back to where they were playing when they won the Super Bowl, when the offensive line was blowing the other teams off the ball. They got to get that going back. They pass rushers got to get them back. They got to get some more plays, but they also got to get Grunt healthy too, to make that playoff run too, because I mean that's his reliable receiver that he trusts in when he gets pressure on. So I mean, too, that's another thing going with this. Are we he's not really showing his age yet, and that's kind of worried too if that's going to start coming to play and playing these ball games too. But then also Heineke for Washington, if you look at what he did today, this win opened up something on his contract. He gets a big bonus now after beating Tampa Bay. Ooh. So yeah, he had some kind of in his contract that they win a key game or something that he gets a big payday. So he's got a big payday after that win too. So he had something to play for in that ball game too. So and then you got if you look at the Washington football team, they had Chase Young. The defense is good for the Washington football team, but the offense is suspect. And then all of a sudden they come out of nowhere and beat Tampa Bay, defending Super Bowl champions 29-19, even though Tampa Bay didn't have all their players like AD still out, Gronk is still out. So I mean, they're not full-fledged weapons, but I think, like Coach said, Tampa Bay will get better as it keeps going on in the season because that's the way Brady operates. Brady operates from mid-season all the way down because, he's pacing himself in the first half of the season because, his age and stuff like that. But in Tampa Bay, you're going to see him open up some more stuff. And right now, you don't – I think Tampa's really giving people false sense of, they're that good. And all of a sudden now they pick up, and then all of a sudden Brady kicks in the second half, and next thing you know, they're hosting another Super Bowl championship with Brady there. So I mean,
and as we've seen this season, yeah, exactly. We've seen the season landing. A lot of different upsets. The NFC is I mean, there's a lot of teams that are still over 500 in contention. So they're. I mean, to me, Tampa's not middle of the pack, but there's definitely, we're going to talk about contenders in general. But in general, I mean, Tampa loss, the press overreacts to it. But you even as a young football fan, seeing the way Brady's played throughout his career, I mean, you can't say like, oh, that's it, he's done, right? I mean, he's still going to move forward and still dominate, I would say, right?
Right. I mean, we got to remember that last year they were the 5th seed in the playoffs, I believe. Right? They were the 5th seed, and they went on and won it all. You know what I'm saying? So there's no reason to say, well, Brady this, Brady that. He had a bad first quarter. He threw like 2 interceptions in the first quarter. That doesn't happen all the time. Washington dominated Tampa. I mean, okay. The 10-minute drive, that happened. It's whatever. Tampa's defense obviously hasn't been like they were last year this year, but they're still good. They're still top tier. You've got Tom Brady. Whenever Tom Brady's under center, I don't care what team it is, you're a contender. You know what I mean? Especially when you got a team with Mike Evans, with Antonio Brown, with Rob Gronkowski, with Chris Godwin, with all these guys, right? Leonard Fournette's playing really good. Their record, they've lost, 3 games, you said?
Yeah.
There's no reason to panic. No reason to panic at all because, I mean, it's Tom Brady. That's all.
Exactly.
I mean, that's my answer to that. It's Tom Brady.
They're going to lose 2 more games this year.
Right, and
Even
if they do,
I know
they're
for a
going to
fact
be
they're
right
going to
back
lose
in
2
that Super Bowl
games,
contention.
and then everybody's going to be like, and then you got to realize everybody's right now. They so hyped on the Rams. Oh my gosh, they got Odell Beckham. Oh my gosh,
Rams are good, man.
I mean, but the thing about it is, you got Matthew Stafford. He ain't never won a playoff game.
I'm high
Never
on Matthew
won a
Stafford,
playoff
though.
game.
Well, he also was with the Detroit Lions.
Nope,
So that's
never
unfair.
won. It doesn't matter.
That's unfair.
He never won a playoff game.
That's unfair. That's unfair.
How is it not fair?
Because you're comparing Tom Brady to Matthew Stafford right now, and Tom Brady, who's had these multiple receivers, who has
I'm not even what both receivers win.
Randy Moss.
Okay, Randy Moss.
Start there. Julian Edelman.
Who else?
Gronk has been with him his whole career.
And Julian Edelman was a 7th-round draft pick, but continue.
That's fine. He was an all-star, all-pro receiver. I don't care.
So even right now, you look at the Rams. They look good on paper. Who's playing Madden? I pick them because I know for a fact I got Cup and I got Odell Beckham.
You're not. You don't think the Rams are legit? Is that what you're saying?
They're not. They're not to stay healthy. Because one thing about how they what they're never healthy in the playoffs. Who was hurt last year?
Okay.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
Right, but they made the divisional though, and their team has only gotten better since last year, and they made the divisional played close to the Packers in the divisional round matchup. That game was not a blowout.
But how do you say they gotten better?
They've gotten better. They've got an upgraded quarterback. They've got Von Miller, Odell Beckham.
Hold on. Time out. You can't say it's an upgrade until you win the playoff game.
It's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade. When was Jared Goff ever the single-handedly top 3 quarterback in the NFL? Never. You can't say that. Right now, Matt Stafford is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, whether you like that or not. They've got the best wide receiver in the NFL in Cooper Kupp right now, whether you like it or not. He is the best playmaker in the NFL right now. Robert Woods, if he was healthy, this team is the best team in the NFL, and it's not even close. I still think they are the best team in the NFL, and they don't have Robert Woods. They added Odell and Robert Woods' replacement. Van Jefferson, is that his name? Van Jefferson? He's been pretty good. He's been pretty good in the slot. And you've got Henderson, running back.
Answer this question.
And you got the best defense in the NFL.
When they played against good teams with the same capability, what did they do? They got slaughtered. Cardinals. They got embarrassed.
Okay,
they had their Super Bowl.
That's one game. That's
two
one
games.
game. The Buccaneers got embarrassed yesterday.
They played, but who they lose to? They lost to the Washington football team.
Washington. That's worse than the Cardinals lost.
But I mean, can I ask you this?
And the Titans lost combined.
Hold on, can I ask you this?
Yeah, come on, I'm ready.
How many starters are out for Tampa Bay?
How many starters were out? Starters. Gronk, Antonio Brown. Off the top of my head, that's all I got. What you got for me?
The secondary.
That's secondary. When they're healthy, they aren't elite. Come on now.
They're top 5. It was the top 5 defense last year. How do you not say that?
Right. Okay, that's fine.
Hold on. And then last time I checked, if you look in the playoffs, how many interceptions they got? They picked off and they got to pick almost every game because they got it against the Saints.
You're living in the past, bro. We're right now.
Who's living in the past?
You're talking about last year's playoff. We're talking about right now. I'm telling you that the Rams team is much improved and they're ready.
How?
They're ready to make.
You're saying that they're much improved because they won because they blew out the Texans because they blew out these teams.
No,
but at the end of the day, so Landon, we can go back and forth.
Bro, listen, I got one more thing to say. They're much improved, and listen, they're much improved because Matthew Stafford is leading the league right now. And fact check me out here. Listen, QBR, pass yards. I believe he's in top 3 for touchdowns. You see what I'm saying? Tom didn't have much until what? But I agree. Yeah, exactly what they said. Listen, Matthew Stafford was in Detroit. You cannot say anything about playoff wins. You cannot say that. That's so listen.
So hold on, time out. So what you're telling me is when Matthew Stafford was with Detroit, he had the hell of a game in the playoffs.
That's fine, and they lost, and you're going to
blame
it on him?
No. I'm asking you. So did Matthew Stafford had a hell of a game in every playoff game? Like what? You making it seem like he was all world in the playoffs.
I didn't say that at all, but he was with the Detroit Lions.
It doesn't matter.
A quarterback has to have a good offensive line to help.
We keep saying you're living off of the name. They made the playoffs.
I'm not living off the name. Look at the stats.
So, Landon, let me ask you a question. If you make the playoffs, you're not considered a good team?
Man, listen, I'm talking right now. You're talking about, okay.
You said the Detroit Lions.
Bro. Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. Listen, that's facts. That's facts. Tom Brady played with the New England Patriots. Matt Stafford played for the Detroit Lions. If you really want to talk about the past, let's talk about the past.
Come on. If you want to talk about New England Patriots, you can ask Ray. They'll tell you New England Patriots wasn't the New England Patriots until Tom Brady came and won the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
There were some nobodies.
Okay.
There were nobodies.
It's Tom Brady.
Bill never had a winning season until he was with Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady. I'm not saying Tom Brady's a better quarterback than Matt Stafford. I'm saying that the Rams are a better team than the Buccaneers, and you hate to think that because you're a Buccaneers fan.
No,
it's the truth. Live up to it. It's the truth.
It's not that I don't live up to it. We sit here and you sit there and you say, "Oh, they're a better team." Why? Oh, they got Odell Beckham. Oh, that's a good name.
That's not what I said.
When has Odell Beckham done something for 1,000 yards? Oh, they got
like three years in a row with the Giants.
Oh my God! And you really want to talk about back in the day? How long ago was that?
I'm just saying. And then you're bringing up Odell. I didn't bring up Odell. You're bringing up Odell.
No. Oh, okay, Von Miller. Hey, when the last time Von Miller was
Von Miller is a presence no matter what.
Come on, man. But when? What year?
Okay, that's the thing with defensive ends. With defensive ends, they don't show up on the stat sheet. Listen, that don't show up on a QB pressure is doing plenty.
When has he done gets pressures? That was 3 years ago. He didn't play last year.
Did you watch any of the Broncos games this season whenever they started off hot? Did you watch any of that?
Hold on. Did he not get hurt?
He got hurt like week 7.
Is he not hurt?
He's not 100% right now.
What about the year before?
No, he's injury prone. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not.
So how many games we got left? He got 7 more games.
Okay.
Again, we can go back and forth. You could put your hand in the hat and say, "Hey, I like the Rams." They have to stay healthy because Cooper Kupp has been injured. Von Miller has been injured. OBJ has been injured.
All right, are you done? The Bucs secondary is injured. Tom Brady's 80,000 years old. You can't keep a running back. Your receivers are injury prone.
Hold on, last time I checked, they signed all 22 players back.
I said you can't keep on. I mean healthy. That's what I mean.
You can't say
Mike Evans is injury prone. Chris Evans. Chris Godwin is injury prone. Antonio Brown is injury prone. Gronk can't stay healthy for nothing. Secondary's hurt. Defensive line's mediocre at best. linebackers are playing they're not playing like they should be.
So, Landon, can I ask you this, and I'll be done with it?
All right, come on.
When it's all said and done, you trust Matthew Stafford over Tom Brady? Yes or no?
In the situation, yes.
No, yes
the
or no?
situation they're in. Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, that's what I love about football. Nope. That's it.
All right.
I got to say one more thing.
Hey, no. The beautiful thing about football
is
we got 3 more months. And when it's 3 months, you know what's gonna happen? Landon, I'm gonna be like this. So what about Matthew Stafford?
The Rams, when the Los Angeles Rams win the Super Bowl, I'll be right here. I'll be right here listening to your excuses.
I don't know.
Let me add something here with that.
All right, Ray's got the last word on this. Go ahead, Ray.
Matthew Stafford in Detroit didn't play in a system that was comfortable for him. He's now playing in a system that is more comfortable for him, and look what he has done. And I mean, if you look, but look, you talking about the playoffs. I understand. I got his completion record. He played 3 games in the playoffs with Detroit. He's 74 in 117 passes, 63.2, 908 yards. But he also has been sacked 6 times in the playoffs. That team? So
facts.
All right, go ahead, Coach. You want to ask him a question? Go ahead.
No, it's okay. First off, they changed the system until he went past Happy. They went past Happy, and he started throwing those picks. So they went back to what McVay does. But it's all good. We will see. Just like Tampa Bay lost. I told you what happened. They lost, injuries, and they make stupid penalties. Defense got to get off the field at the end of the day. They didn't. Tom Brady threw 2 picks. It was in behind.
How come the Buccaneers injuries are a crutch, but the Rams aren't?
It's not a crutch. No, it's not a crutch.
You're totally blaming on the loss on penalties.
No. I said
not penalties, injuries. Excuse me.
I know I didn't. I said injuries is killing them, but the secondary, the defense is banged up. Defense is banged up, and they made stupid penalties. But at the end of the day, guess what? It's not an excuse because at the beginning, what did I say? We lost, and we're gonna lose. Look at me. We will lose 2 more games before the year's over with. 2 more, and you know what? We're gonna lose 2 more games. I'm calling it. And guess what? We're still gonna make the playoffs. We're gonna look across that field. We're gonna see the Rams, and we're gonna see all of a sudden if Matt Stafford gets sacked. Oh my God! Now it's not his fault.
I'll be back on Bring It playoffs whenever the Rams beat the Buccaneers by 10+. All right. I'll be here for that.
Okay. All right. Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. We could debate this stuff all night. There's 2 more topics I want to talk about from this past weekend, and I want to talk about something else. The first thing is I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but there was an interception yesterday in the Denver-Philadelphia game that Bridgewater threw. And basically, when the player was returning the interception, it was kind of near Teddy, and Teddy kind of just stepped aside and said, I'm not going to make this tackle. He's been getting killed in the press today, but with his injury history, I kind of don't blame him. I know you got to go full out when you throw an interception, but, you know, he didn't want to get laid out by a defensive player. So I'll start with you, Landon. I mean, do you think Bridgewater he said he made a career, a self-decision, a career decision. Do you think he's in the right, or no matter what, you got to go after the ball player?
I didn't see what the score was when this happened, but I know that game wasn't really competitive, right? It was it decided by like the 3rd quarter?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't watch that game, but I've seen memes about it all day long. You know what I mean? So, and I agree with Teddy Bridgewater. You do not want to get hurt. Don't go, especially if the score was a blowout. Especially, that even just adds more reason to not go after the ball. But man, you don't want to get your quarterback hurt, and I think he made the right decision.
All right, Coach. What about you?
I think he should have tried to make the tackle, at least attempt. Because one thing about it is, that's a selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it as a coach, you look at it, especially as a player, like, because they're still in the hunt to make the playoffs. Like I said, I didn't watch the game. I just saw highlights, so I didn't know what was the score of the game at the time of him doing it. But you like stuff like that. Like, even if you see it all the time, when you see somebody run the reverse, or they back and come back towards the quarterback. The quarterback at least get in front of somebody for a block. They say, "Oh, look at him helping out the team," instead of running out the way. I think because at the end of the day, we're in this thing together, no matter what. And sometimes you got to go make a play. Even though now you look at it, Teddy's like, okay, you're on a 1-year contract, so you're trying to be selfish and save yourself.
Facts.
All right. What about you, Ray? What do you think about this?
Let me give you an update right now. 49ers just intercepted the ball. Now they're winning 13-0 over the Rams right now.
Oh, that's 2 picks.
So,
That's 2 picks. That's 2. Look, uno, dos.
I just want to give you that. But anyway, talk about that. You know,
Come on, Ray. Ray, come on now, Ray. Come on now, Ray.
I'm just
Hey,
saying what
you
is
ain't got to
in front
say
of me.
that now. Come on now, Ray.
But anyway, talk about that. I'm with Coach. I think he should have gone to make the tackle because you're a football player in the long run. I don't care what position you are. If you throw that interception, you got to make a tone for that interception. You let it, even if you whiff, that's good. But he didn't even try to make an attempt. You know, that's just selfishness about football players. I played football in high school, and I tell you what my coach used to tell me, if you don't put out 100%, you don't play the next game. And if our quarterback didn't go out there and try to make a tackle, he would never play the next game. And my coach, when I was growing up, that's what his philosophy was. He didn't care. If you throw a pick, you better go out there trying to chase that man down and get that ball back. So to me, you're a football player first. You know, worry about injuries later. Worry about what your self-assessment is. You got to put your livelihood in for the team. If you throw that pick, you better go out there and try to chase that man down.
I wanted Matt Stafford chased him down on this one.
Oh, no,
Hey, keep talking. Hey, keep talking.
He got, hey, look, Coach, good. The defensive linemen and linebackers are looking for the quarterback to put them on the butts when they're trying to after they intercepted the ball.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, let's talk about one more game yesterday. The return of Cam Newton. Cam Newton came back yesterday, signed a couple days before Sunday, comes back, throws a touchdown pass, runs for a touchdown, screams in the camera, "I'm back." And yes, Cam was back, and I would say P.J. Walker's stint as a starting quarterback is one and done, as they say, because that's Cam Newton's job at this point. So just Ray's nodding his head. All right, Ray, let's go to you. What do you think?
You got to look at Walker. Walker played most of the game, and
Right.
I like the strategy what they did. They let Walker carry him from the 20-yard line on their own 20 to the other team's 20, and then they let Cam Newton go from the 20 on in. That's what Cam Newton's effective because he can run the ball and he can throw a little 20-yard pass that it's not going to be, he's more accurate at a 20-yard pass than he's on deep bomb. And if you look at when he came in, he ran one for a touchdown and he threw one for a touchdown. When he first came in, so that right there gave him 14 points right there. And I think that's what they're going to try to use Cam Newton with. And I think Cam Newton agreed with it to do that. And I think Walker's going to start and he'll move the ball from the 20 to the 20 and let Cam Newton come in and be the red zone quarterback.
It's an interesting an actual dual quarterback system. But even with the money they're paying him, I mean, you saw the contract he signed.
Well, they were trying to bring him back. They were trying to bring him back anyway because once he decides he's going to give it up, they were going to bring him back anyway, and he's going to retire as a Carolina Panther. That was already set up when they actually let him go the first time. And I think, but look, the interesting story with this is Tapper is paying him for when he left. Now they're paying him again when he came back. Now they're paying his back, the one they got rid of. They're paying him. Now he's paying 3 different quarterbacks. He's paying 4 quarterbacks right there, and paying Cam Newton twice right now.
Not a bad gig. Coach, can a 2 quarterback system work in the NFL? I mean, truly work? I mean, I know Sean Payton sort of did it with Taysom Hill and Drew Brees, but it looks like that this is going to be a true quarterback system. I mean, can it work in this league?
Well, that was what we talked about yesterday on Touchdown Crew, that Cam doesn't fit Brady's offense. And what I mean by Brady, I'm not talking about Tom Brady. I'm talking about the OC.
Josh McDaniels.
Brady. For
the offensive coordinator for Carolina.
Oh, right. Oh, Joe Brady, the former LSU coordinator. Right. Okay. Yeah.
So he doesn't fit what Cam does. Cam is he's a deep ball, and I run with the quarterback, and I run left, run right. Now, when you get him inside the 20, that's where he works his best. If you see, that's where he's good at. So I think it can work because the other quarterback, he can get you down there, but he can't get it in because he doesn't have that. He's not a dual threat.
No.
So I think having him, it opens up everything because you at least have to keep one more guy on Cam Newton. You at least have to have a spy on him. Like you and even your pass rush, they just can't rush up the field. So you can't really drop in the zone. So I think they could do it, especially in the goal line. I think that's what Cam Newton is right now.
Right. So it's almost like having a second running back in there. I mean, that's how Cam's always been, a second running back. But yeah, definitely at this point. I mean, and Ray, what was that comment someone put up about his foot? Something about who put that? John, our friend John Suggs, who always has wonderful comments on all our shows. Dude, going to be crying about his foot by week 13. See, it's an interesting take because he has had foot problems. He did have shoulder problems. But I'm kind of leaning with Ray and Coach on this as far as him being basically a red zone quarterback. Now, Landon, you basically grown up watching Cam Newton's whole career. You're an Alabama fan. You rooted against him in the SEC. Yeah. So but I mean, do you think as a young up and comer in this business that this two quarterback system can work, or egos? Think Cam Newton's ego, because we all know he's got an ego. He's you see the way he dresses at the press conference, see the way he carries himself. Is that going to get in the way of the system, or is he just going to want to try to win?
Man, a two quarterback system. And listen, I think Cam Newton is a great red zone quarterback. I think he's always going to be a threat in the red zone. Because he can use his feet, he can throw the ball. He's phenomenal. Is it going to work in the NFL? I don't think so with Cam's ego. And I'm glad you brought that up because I really didn't even think about that until just now. But he's taking first team reps this week. He's going to take these first team reps and he's going to ball out because it's Cam Newton. Okay, he's going to ball out and he's going to get this ego and he's going to be all super Cam's back. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe it works next week and then that ship is gonna sink very fast. I think Cam's gonna want more snaps in the game. He's gonna want to be in more. He's gonna want to go back to how he was before. And I think especially if the Panthers start losing with this system, it's gonna get a lot worse. Only time will tell because Cam Newton is such an A-ball, man. Like you don't know what he's gonna do. He can come out here and be a team player one day and cancer in the locker room the next. You really don't know. Mm-hmm. If I had to say right now, it's not going to work, but you never know. It could. Yeah. It's very possible.
No, definitely a good point. And next week he has the Ron Rivera revenge game because Carolina's playing Washington next week, and that should be interesting because Rivera wanted no part of him when he was in Washington when Cam Newton was available. So that's going to be a definitely interesting game to watch. All right, so we're basically at the midpoint in the season. I mean, the midpoint was last week. This week, some teams have played 8 games, some teams have played 9, some teams, it's just hard to tell where the middle is with the 17-game season. But let's call right now the middle of the season. So at this point, I want you to just kind of tell me, who are your top 5 true Super Bowl contenders at this point? Because it's every week we're like, oh, it's this team, it's this team, it's this team, but. If there's 5 teams that at this point you think can win the whole thing, I want you to give me that. So, Ray, let's go to you first.
Well, you got to throw Tampa out there. Tampa's going to be on top of the list, everybody's list, because you got one of the greatest quarterbacks in Tom Brady. I mean, he's going to go. You got to go through Tampa. You're going to have to go with a dog fight. He's gonna give it to you, and somehow, in some way, if his team is down, he finds a way to bring him back. I seen him do it to the Carolina Panthers when they were in the Super Bowl with, New England. You can't count Tom Brady out. Still, the question is still out for the Rams right now because right now we're seeing if a team's got a good defense like 49er does, is putting the clamps on the Rams' offensive side. So, I think the Rams could if they had a chance. But like I said, they're still young and they still got to get all the chemistry down together. And I mean, for Matthew Shepard being there for the first time in a long time, have this type of a team, it's going to take them a year, maybe 2 years to get some more pieces around them. I don't think they're our top 10. I think they could make it to the NFC championship game. And part of Tampa Bay will win that game because you can't count out the GOAT, and stuff like that. So that's one. Dallas has a chance. But then again, you got to watch with Dallas because sometimes Dallas play great games in one game and then have a letdown the next game, So I know Tony don't want to hear that, but still it's just an honest opinion. But they have a chance with all the weapons they got. They started putting consistent games together and not having this one But then again, the injuries with Prescott and all that too, you got to worry about injuries. So that's three right there. And then if you go away from them, it's your pick of the barrel for 4 and 5 spot, because I think right now the three teams in the NFC are right there, and then if you want to take two out of the AFC, you got to look at New England is starting to come around now, so they could make it at. I mean, the AFC is pretty easy. I mean, a lot of teams are battling for that. You got Kansas City trying to battle back into the playoff contentions. You got KC can do it, but I mean, if KC goes back up against Tampa again, you're gonna see the same old thing, and you're gonna, I listened to that Super Bowl, and that. So I have KC as my number 4, and Tennessee maybe number 5.
All right, cool. All right, Coach. What about you? What 5 teams right now would you say have the chance to win the Super Bowl?
My top 3, there's not even no order. They still both have a chance because they all fit well playing against each other. We'll go Rams.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go Tennessee. I go Tampa Bay for sure. Now I think the other 2 teams, I really don't have 5. I throw KC. I'm gonna throw KC in because one thing about it is I know everybody's gonna say, "Well, look, the defense is this, the defense is that." Man, it's a different ball game when you come February. It's come to playoffs, and on top of that, what a lot of people don't realize, what you've done at the beginning of the season, like people got film on you now. So like all these big games, and that was the thing I was trying to say about even the Rams. People got film on you now, so we kind of your tendencies. And that's one of the things that a lot of teams. So I really just got 4. That's it. Because if I say I can say the Cowboys, but the Cowboys can't. They don't fit. The matchups don't match well against the Rams nor the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So and then you say the Ravens, they can't throw the ball.
Right.
So they're going to be done. I'm not sold on Josh Allen. I said that from the beginning of the season. I have never been sold on Josh Allen.
Right.
He hasn't showed me nothing. Aaron Rodgers is good, but I don't expect him to throw the 30, 40 yards. The run game is not going to work against the Rams. The run game is not going to work against the Bucks. So you're going to have to throw the ball. And I don't see him making the plays because he's known to choke in the playoffs.
Right.
Who else? That's it. Chargers is weak, so they can't stop the run. They saw.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings showed that we're gonna be physical with you.
Right.
So it's just all these teams they have good, but it's just because of who they played. But when you really come down to it, it's the Rams when healthy, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and the Titans. Titans, they're doing their thing, and guess what? Defense is gonna get healthy, and if that man come back, because the more games they win, guess what? The more rest he can get.
Exactly. Tennessee is living proof of next man up because their backup running back has been, just playing out.
Hey, AP's playing good too.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely playing well. Tannehill's that system, whatever system they're running for Tannehill, is built for his skill set. So definitely, I wouldn't underestimate Tennessee. They're definitely my top 5. But let's go to you, Landon, first before I reveal mine.
No order really. I've got a bunch of teams jotted down here. I think I'm gonna go L.A. The Rams. I'm gonna go Tampa. I like what he said about Dallas because you can't really say Dallas just yet. So I'm gonna throw in Green Bay. There. I'm gonna throw in Buffalo. I like Buffalo. I like Buffalo. I like Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know if I can say this.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. Yeah. What's up?
And I'm just curious. Why do you like Josh Allen?
I like Josh Allen.
What game has he shown that he took over a game?
Well, I mean, this past week, sure, he played the Jets. They're the dumpster fire, but he shows that he can roll out of the pocket and he can throw the ball 50 yards on the field. And I'm high on Josh Allen. In the playoffs last year, he played really well. Sure, he didn't play good in the conference championship. I should have clarified that. I saw your face.
No, I'm just listening.
So, but I'm high on Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen. I like that offense. See, I'm gonna put him in there, and then see, this is where I gotta pick, right? Because I got my team in there. I got Cincinnati chilling. They're on my list, but they're not top 5. I think I'm gonna have to go Titans. I like how the Titans are playing.
Right.
So you mean to tell me you like Buffalo over the Titans,
Yes.
even though they beat the Titans? I mean, even
Yes.
though the Titans beat Buffalo.
Yes.
Okay.
Even the Jaguars beat Buffalo.
That's fine. The Washington football team beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so
Exactly.
we can go there. We can go there.
No.
Hey,
Let's not do that.
Hey, how about
We can go
this?
there. We can go there.
How about this? Josh Allen threw to Josh Allen for the Jaguars.
That's
Picked him
fine.
right off.
Exactly.
That's
Hey,
fine.
hey,
Tom
you
Brady threw
can't-
302 interceptions in the first quarter. So
Can I ask you a question? You can name 5 players for the Washington football team. You can't name 5 players off the Jaguars.
you want to bet? You want to bet?
All right.
Trevor Lawrence, James Robinson, Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark, and Josh Allen. There's 5.
we have a
out.
Jaguar season ticket holder right here, so we know that. All right.
Praying for you, Ray.
My top 5 is pretty. I definitely like what Tennessee's doing. Ricky Smith put up. Could you repost that? What Ricky Smith said there? He had a good comment about Tennessee. Yeah, old school football, run the ball, win the line of scrimmage, defend every blade of grass. Definitely, Mike Vrabel is definitely coaching off the chain right now. So I like Tennessee. I like Green Bay's chances. I really do. I think they play in an interesting, an interesting brand of football,
Respect,
and
Cookie,
I just like what they're doing over there. You got to put Tampa in. You can't doubt Brady. I don't know. Something gives me a vibe about Kansas City. Might have figured it out. Might make a run. So I'm going to put Kansas City up there as my 4th. And the 5th team's kind of a wild card because it could be Buffalo might have a chance, but another thing that's something telling me watch the Patriots. The Patriots might make some noise.
Down. Yeah.
Patriots might make some noise.
Hey.
I mean, I know they're young, and I know Mac
Tuscaloosa.
Jones is playing well, but yeah, I mean, Patriots might make a run. So you never know. All right, we're almost at that time. We're at the end of the show, so it's time for our last chance to bring it. This has been a great show, great back and forth. I'll say that afterwards. So let's go give our last take. So Landon, since you're going to be guest hosting for me next week, you get the first chance, your last chance to bring it.
So what is this? A hot take? I just give a
Yeah,
hot
just
take?
a hot take on anything.
Okay.
Doesn't even have to be doesn't have to be sports. Could be anything. But
Let's see. Hot take. The New England Patriots will be in the AFC Championship game. There's my hot take.
okay. Interesting.
There you go.
I love coaches' faces.
Listen, this boy is on my head for some reason, and I can't tell. I think it's because I disrespected that boy's Buccaneers, but it's all facts. He cannot argue. It's all facts. It's all facts. It's all facts, bro. It's all facts. Listen, I'm gonna hush. It's all facts. It's been fun.
I can't wait to watch you guys next week. It's gonna be great. All right, Ray, what's your final take of the night?
Well, we didn't get to the John Gruden story. I wanted to
Right.
get into that, but we didn't get to it. But I don't believe in what he said. You guys don't take that out of context. But one context I've read over some of these statements and stuff on this thing. Only that one email out of 650,000 emails was leaked out.
Right.
That one email. And you saying if it's despite by anger or none? No, he has actually a right to do it because this email that was leaked out was not written to an NFL. Anything about football was written to a Wall Street Journal. It was written to the New York Times. And it was nothing about football related and stuff like that. The NFL leaked this out to put pressure on to get him out of the NFL, basically, period. And, I don't believe in what he said. I don't believe that email. I don't like the way he stated it. I'm not saying that, but the fact is, why was that one email leaked out of 650,000 emails that was collected?
Right. Well, yeah. So I mean, I think it was a witch hunt. Basically, what you're saying
Yeah.
it was basically a witch hunt to try to get Gruden out. I definitely believe that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that. But
Yeah. How can you single that out? So yeah, we'll try to. We'll see what happens with the Gruden story this week. We'll try to get to it next week for sure. All right, Coach, what you got? Last take of the night.
I was going to say the same thing about Gruden. Gruden was smart. He released it Friday afternoon. All the NFL is done talking. All the sports channels is not talking about it. Then you had college football, and then you had the NFL. They're going to pay him because it's going to be hush money because he knows a lot. So no one's going to really bring up the whole Gruden thing. That's why he released it on a Friday. because you still, even tonight, right now, everybody's conversation is about OBJ. Right. Then afterwards, on Tuesday morning, we're gonna talk about OBJ. Then you're gonna talk about all the rounds for real, and so on and so on, and who's sick, who got COVID, Green Bay. So he did it smart. They're gonna slide. NFL gonna write him a check, and he's gonna do a podcast or something, and he'll be fine a year from now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, another interesting story about Gruden came out too. LSU sent a private jet to Las Vegas to pick him up for a job interview for the LSU.
Serious?
Ooh. John Gruden in the SEC. That would be very interesting. Wow.
No, if John Gruden was at LSU won't get not a damn recruit.
Yeah. Facts.
What about USC? What if he took the USC job?
No, John Gruden. Right now, his name is tainted because you got
that's facts.
You got all of because what you got to realize about Gruden, he never said I'm sorry or anything.
Right.
Like he just said I'm not gonna talk about it. So a lot of people is like, man, I'm not gonna be with this dude like that.
Right. Exactly. Well, you know he's getting paid from the Raiders still, so I'm sure they figured something out. So yeah.
Oh, he's gonna get paid because I promise you, because you can't be in that circle. Like him and the Raiders owners were they were like this at the beginning. So he knows a lot of dirt on a lot of people. So instead they're gonna write that check so he can shut up.
He definitely did.
He's gonna sign that little paper where he can't leak or saying how much you got and this and that. He's gonna be fine. Right,
definitely. All right, my quick hot take for the night. It's a college football take that I think when it's all said and done, enough teams are going to lose that the committee is going to be forced to take Cincinnati into the playoffs because there's going to be enough teams that are going to lose. They're going to move down in the poll, and Cincinnati is going to be sitting there, and they're going to be like, you know what? We got to put them in. So my take is I think Cincinnati will end up in the final college football playoff. I don't know who else is going to end up. Well, and Georgia will be there because no one's beating Georgia. Alabama's not. Sorry, Landon. Alabama's not beating Georgia.
It's okay. I promise.
No way.
It's okay.
No way. It's not happening. It's not happening. All right, cool. Everybody, this has been an amazing show. Thank you all so much for watching. Everyone tune in next week. Landon's going to be filling in for me as host. He's going to kick ass, do a great job. Tune in next for Real Talk. They've got Kelsey Nicole Nelson on. Amazing journalist out of DC. It's going to be a great episode, and just stay tuned to the network all week. Great stuff going on. Go to the website. We got merch. We got all sorts of stuff happening. Tune into the YouTube channel. Subscribe. Ring the bell. Tell your friends. Pass the word around, and we will see everybody next week. Peace.
Peace out.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Welcome to ASAP Real Talk. We check our opinions at the door and we keep it 100% real. Good evening, everybody. Freddie, how you feeling this morning? Or this evening, I guess I should say.
I'm good. Just ready to be back on the Real Talk. And Kenny, I told you before we got on this show, do not wear no cowboy gear, and you come on this show with that cowboy gear. Now go off, log off, and go try it again.
What you have to say means nothing to me. I never pay attention to you because your opinion doesn't matter. So it's not going to change now. Cowboys all day. How about them Cowboys?
Oh, here you go.
As you can see, we got our founder of ASAP, the GOAT. They call him Freddie Henderson.
No,
below him, we got
him.
Mr.
Nobody
Kenny
else
Moore.
calls him that. That's a self-moniker. Self-proclaimed.
Hey, Freddie, I can't give you no props, man. They're just gonna kill you there. I'm trying, man.
Hey Jay, one thing I learned to do, I during this debate, I'll show them who the GOAT is. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what's up. Hey, I'm Jay McLovin, your moderator, and below me from the Bond Chronicles, we got Mr. Ray Bond. How you doing, Ray?
Oh man, feeling good. Exciting day, exciting time. So exciting opportunity. I'm ready to get into it.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, so tonight we have a special guest with us. Her name is Miss Kelsey Nicole Nelson, and she is a reporter from the Washington, D.C. area. Yeah, I spent some time in D.C. That's an awesome place to be, down in Anacostia. And you can catch her on her new shows, The Life, which is on Thursdays, and The Fit, which is on Fridays. She's also host of the Draft Network, and you can listen, and also the Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio, to name a few. She is a woman of many hats, and we are glad to have her on the show this evening. And let's go ahead and bring on Miss Kelsey Nelson.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. You know, I aim to come on a show one day where my name is GOAT too when I come on. I would love that. That's my aspiration one day.
Yeah, so does
you'll
Freddie.
Actually get it, Kelsey. Someone will actually give you the name as opposed to you naming yourself. That'll be the difference.
That's a high title. Look, all praise to you.
You know, Miss Nelson, I'm so glad to see your smile this evening, because I just watched that Washington game where Fitzpatrick obviously is, he's done for the season, and now your boy Chase is done with a torn ACL.
Yeah.
Where did it go from there?
Look. Okay, look, we were celebrating Victory Monday, but I'll tell you that Chase Young injury hurt many people in the DC area, not only because Chase Young, reigning defensive rookie of the year. And of course, I know this season has not been the same numbers, but Chase Young is a beloved one here in DC. He's our son in DC, right? He's from the area. He's been obviously just a tremendous piece of this Washington football team defense, but also in terms of the leadership. So that one hurts. But for Washington to still get that win, I'm telling you all, still riding high. It's still Victory Monday. It's so great to see you burgundy and gold, even in this cold weather that we're having here in DC. But it's just, that one did hurt. And especially seeing him on crutches, I think that's when it became real. Like, it was like, dang, like he really did tear his ACL. He really is done for the season. But I know he'll continue to be vocal on that sideline. So again, Chase Young and everybody else celebrating that Washington football team win. They gave Tom Brady a scare in the playoffs last year, and then this year, boom, Tom Brady done with the press conference. He's out because Washington, they did that.
And that really is the bittersweet part of it for you guys, is the fact that you did get the win over the Bucks. And that's impressive to beat the Bucks. Even though you guys aren't as good as the Cowboys, you guys did have an impressive win.
Ouch! Look, enemy territory. Look, I'm being nice. All right, no, the Cowboys.
No gloves.
The Cowboys look great. Like, I gotta be honest. I gotta be unbiased. And the NFC East, they are the team to beat. I just got off a podcast saying I actually believe the Cowboys could beat the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, I'm believing in the Dallas Cowboys. But I'll tell you, in Washington, even though we know we're not close to the Dallas Cowboys, beating Tampa Bay and Taylor Heineke, of all people, being the quarterback to do it, again, that gave Washington fans some faith. To put it into perspective, Washington had the lowest average of fans attending games. Washington football team tickets were reasonably priced. There was a good amount of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans in that stadium. Washington fans have begun to lose hope. I saw so many moping faces around DC. Now today, everybody's smile as big as the day. Everyone's being nice and polite. People just giving people money on the streets. Like, it's a new day in Washington, DC right now, because that's how excited fans are. I mean, you guys, they were selling Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl stuff outside of the stadium.
Wow. That's insane. That's insane to me.
All of a sudden, complete turnaround. Fans are happy. Our football team's doing good. Our basketball team, our football team got the win. We'll say that. We're not going to say they're doing well. Our Wizards are doing well. So, like, there's a balance in DC right now.
Yeah, there is.
Now, Miss Kelsey, I'm going to say something. Hey, I'm here for you. You don't have to worry about Jay or Kenny jumping on you for you criticizing the Cowboys, because you best believe I got your back. Don't worry about that at all.
Just telling the truth and speaking the facts, man.
Hey, listen. And Miss Kelsey already had her hot take saying the Cowboys were the team to beat in the NFC. So I'm already putting that down. I'm writing that down as we speak.
Just know they play Washington twice. We still got 2 coming up.
Yeah, we do. That's right.
That's true. That's very true. That is very, very true. But like, football is fun again. I think, the great thing about especially the NFL this week is we talked about Tampa Bay falling. We saw Baltimore fall to the Dolphins. It's truly just any given day where you just never know when we have these teams all of a sudden pick up and step up. I don't think anybody but Cowboys fans thought they'd be doing what they're doing right now. So Cowboys, I'm giving it to you. Your fans, calm down a bit. We still got a lot of football left, but I'm enjoying what they're doing and watching them play, and especially having that bounce back win, even though it was against the Atlanta Falcons. No offense, no shots fired. But again, I'm still very happy to see what they've been doing. And again, the NFC East now, they just have to play catch up.
All right, that's good. Let's learn some hot takes. My hot take is anybody else thinking that maybe Trevor Lawrence shouldn't have been the number 1 draft pick and maybe Mac Jones is proven to be the number 1 pick? I think it is. I mean, I'm not saying that Justin Fields will have a case as well, but right now Mac Jones has got his team primed and ready for the playoffs, and they're making quite the headlines. What do you think, Freddie? What's your hot take?
My hot take is, and I think Kenny, I think you're gonna like it. You know, every show, even last year, I come on and always say the Dallas Cowboys are the accident waiting to happen. I think we can take that title and that same away and apply that to a new team in the NFL. And I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. Ever since they went down to Vegas, there's always something in that organization. They started the season off great. They everybody said, "Oh, this will be the year that they're better than the Chiefs. This is the year the Chiefs won't make the playoffs." Because the Chiefs start, but we always know when it comes to November with these Raiders, things always happen. And to me, I don't think there's nothing to do on the field. It's too much what's going off the field that's distracting this franchise. So, Kenny, Jay McLovin, I'm taking that title away from your team. I'm applying that to the Raiders. What can go wrong will go wrong. And it's going wrong down there in Vegas.
Look at Deshaun Jackson. He just coughed up the ball the first time he touched it. How much worse can it get? I don't know. I think it's going to get a lot worse personally.
You OBJ did something that made sense. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I agree. Look, I said this on a show Sunday. I said the devil works hard, but the Las Vegas Raiders PR team has to work harder because of everything that they have to deal with. And, you know, Las Vegas, city of sins, right? So much going on there, but it's just true. And so I think with all of those distractions, you know, like first it was coach, then unfortunately just an unfortunate situation with Ruggs. Like you're trying to rebuild and bounce back. And I know Derek Carr gets all Bible quotes and he's a very religious man, but it's too much for any one person or any one team. And we're just starting to see it spew out of control in Las Vegas. So just many questions surrounding that team.
That's true. Mr. Ray, what hot take you got for us?
So I got a good one. I've seen a lot of Lamar Jackson MVP talk. I am here to let people know Lamar is who we thought he was. He is not an elite quarterback in the NFL. He is up and down. He is inaccurate. He cannot be relied on to win big games when it matters. He is not an elite quarterback in this league.
All right, can I start on this one? Because you guys know I'm in the area. I felt like I took this one to heart because, again, I talked about Chase Young being DC's son. Well, Lamar Jackson is Baltimore's son. Lamar had a bad game on Thursday. And not gonna, decent numbers, but still the team all around, just things weren't clicking. It was not just Lamar Jackson. But I have to say this, Lamar, first the narrative was he can't play comeback games. What has he done this season? They've done comeback games. He beat the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I think Lamar has been playing stellar football. The cast around him also has to step up. You know, we talked about D-Jax dropping that ball. We saw what Sammy Watkins did in that Miami game and that coughing up the ball and that fumble. So I think so many times people want Lamar to fail. And time again, he proves the narrative that he can do it and will. There's a reason why he just went to Louisville and had his jersey retired. There's a reason why the Baltimore Ravens trust and believe in this man and why Hollywood Brown said, and all else, why do we believe in this team? Because we have two words, and that was Lamar Jackson. So again, he has bad games, and I will give him his criticism, but I do think Lamar Jackson has played good football. He's shown his arm strength. He's doing it also with his legs. We see the numbers that he's putting up. You know, Mike Vick is like, well, dang, can I keep anything? You know, Lamar Jackson keeps coming after it. So I do think people just have to stop this narrative around Lamar Jackson, especially because it's not the same narrative that they're giving everybody else. I saw after Thursday night's game, everyone's like, oh, Lamar's out the MVP race. Well, what about the game we just saw from Tom Brady? What about those 2 interceptions in the first quarter? What about that loss? Nobody said that about Tom Brady. So I think people have to stop getting on my guy, Lamar Jackson, because he's proven time and time again that he can be a true quarterback in this league and compete with the best of them. Now, I think we'll really see the true test when the Ravens get to the playoffs, but stop the Lamar Jackson hate. I just had to put that out there.
That's true, though. The narrative for Lamar will always be the same until he wins in the playoff or at the elite level, like Tom Brady's done how 7 times? When you got 2 hands full of Super Bowl rings, that narrative will change for you. But that narrative for Lamar, and he's a good quarterback. I like Lamar, but until he wins in the playoffs and proves to us that he can win at that level, he's just Lamar.
Right, I think that's the thing. He's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's bad. What I'm saying is he's not elite. He's not in that top 3 to 5 category because to me, he cannot consistently beat you with the pass. If he has a bad defense and a bad run game, I can't rely on Lamar.
But you put him in top 10,
40 to 50 times. Yeah, he's top 10. But the way people rank him, I just don't see him as that. And I think you consistently see week in and week out, you don't know which Lamar you're going to get. And that loss to Miami was a bad loss. And just flat out. Now, again, Tom lost to Washington, but some of that was the first interception wasn't an interception. It was a fumble. Like things like that happen. To me, Lamar has to get consistent. And I want to see an 8-week stretch where he consistently throws the ball and wins games like that because you're going to need that in the playoffs, playing these AFC teams that can score points. And he beat the Chiefs when the Chiefs were down. I think that was a different Chiefs team than the one we just saw. And he got his jersey retired at Louisville. Like, Louisville for a football team.
Ouch!
Like, what are we saying here?
Wow. Hey, I wasn't going to go that far with
that's a little disrespectful because he put that program on the map.
Yeah,
so you got to give him props.
How many people have their jersey retired at Louisville that are elite? Like,
I'm just because they're not known for their basketball school.
That's all
they're
I'm
not
saying.
known for their football team. So the fact that he put them on the map, I got to give him credit for that. And also, I think every year he's improved as a passer. So I don't think we've seen him he hasn't reached his apex in terms of his skill level. I think there's still more that he's going to get better. This year he's completed almost 65% of his passes. So every year he's taking a step incrementally and becoming a better quarterback. But in terms of being the dual threat, he is the Ravens offense. Like, that guy carries the load. So to me, like, he carries too much of a load, especially, this year with them losing their running backs. It's even been more on him too, because if he doesn't play well, they have no chance of winning. So that alone to me puts him in that elite category because they don't win games. If he doesn't play well, they have no chance of winning. And whenever you're that person for your team, to me, that's an elite player.
Facts. That's facts. And Lamar Jackson, they trust in Baltimore. Justin Tucker and Lamar Jackson are the 2 guys that Baltimore Ravens squad trusting. And he has a lot of pressure on him. He talked about, think about the injuries that Baltimore is dealing with. And still somehow they've been able to push through it all. They had 16 guys, you all, on injured reserve at one time this season. 16 guys, all right, lost all 3 backs and had a whole new team. The defense, and we're not talking about the Ravens defense, but there's just so many things. So again, I think Lamar Jackson, I think he gets unfairly criticized. And again, I will criticize him when he has a bad game, but Lamar, I think, continues to improve. John Harbaugh trusts him, his team trusts him, his squad trusts him, and when all else, he'll put it on his back and he can get those big wins in crunch time that he's proven time in and time out. Again, Thursday was not a good team game, but also talk about Lamar's weapons. When you talk about good quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes has weapons around him. All right, Hollywood Brown, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's Marquise, sometimes he's Hollywood. I will use those names interchangeably based on how he plays. Sammy Watkins, we'd love to see him show up. His most consistent receiver is his tight end, Mark Andrews, right?
He's
Lamar
a heck of a baller, though.
Andrews, and Mark Andrews is another guy who deserves more credit. But Lamar, when you think about the supporting cast around him, he's needed consistent and solid weapons, and they do not consistently show up time in and time out. And so there's a lot of pressure on him to get it all done. And look, only one man can only handle so much. But somehow the Baltimore Ravens look at that record, and a big reason is because Lamar Jackson.
I will admit, man, Baltimore has definitely taken on a lot of injuries. There's no doubt about that. And a quick score update, 21-7 right now. The 49ers are just putting a belt whipping on the poor Rams. Mr. Keith, what's your hot take, brother?
So my hot take, I actually had to switch my hot take because it was kind of based on that San Francisco 49ers game because I've been questioning Shanahan in terms of him being on the hot seat, but I got to switch it up if they're able to pull this out tonight. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and go to another quarterback in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield will not get an extension this upcoming offseason. I don't think they believe in him as being a franchise quarterback, and I think they're going to franchise him. And because this quarterback draft this year is not a strong draft class, so I think they're going to roll the dice and franchise him in the offseason and just give him one one more year and then look for a quarterback in the next draft.
Yeah, that's a pretty good hot take. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that one holds true. Same thing with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's getting ready to be in a contract year. Are they going to take him on?
Yeah, it's a lot of Derek Carr. Maybe he asked to be out of Las Vegas. To Freddie's point in terms of the dysfunction and everything that's going on there. Maybe he asked for a trade to get out of there. You still got Deshaun Watson up in there. I think this coming offseason is going to be a real interesting offseason for quarterbacks for sure.
I don't see a lot coming in the draft, so I think you're going to get
exactly. That's why I think it's going to be even more so.
Yeah, I think we'll get a rotation of some quarterbacks, but
Definitely.
I agree. I think Cleveland's in a position that Washington was just in with Kirk Cousins. I think you got a guy that has shown that he took them to the playoffs. He's won some big games. They've had some really good records, but he's also played really bad in other times and come up short in key moments. And if they learned anything from us, you either cut bait or you sign them long term. But that franchise after franchise gets real expensive, and it cripples your ability. And they got a bunch of young talent in Cleveland. They're going to have to pay other people too. So they are going to have to make a decision. That franchise tag is expensive.
That's facts.
All right, that moves us on to our next point. Are the Titans the best team in the AFC? I'll tell you, the Titans have rolled past the injured Saints. They just kind of find a way to win. For some reason, I don't know what it is about the Titans. You can take out Derrick Henry, but that team has tenacity. That team has passion. That team has everything it takes mentally and physically to win. And I tell you, they're proving a lot of people wrong. And I look at the Titans as one of the teams to beat in the AFC. What do you think about that, Ms. Kelsey?
Yeah, look, the Titans have proven time in and time out that they're just solid on both ends of the football. And like you said, even without King Henry, right, that we like to call him, I mean, they're just still a solid squad, the Tennessee Titans. And so I'm believing in them. I think the AFC, unrightfully, so many people are talking about how the AFC is not as competitive and all this stuff. I'm like, what are you watching? Like, the AFC has a lot of talented football teams. And when you look at the teams atop of that, I do have Tennessee Titans and what they've been able to build. I think we've seen this coming since Mike Vrabel has took over that team. But look, they just look solid. They really do. Yeah. Are they the team to beat? We're still looking at these AFC teams, and there has been inconsistencies with a couple of these top AFC teams. But I do like the Tennessee Titans' chances. And I'll tell you, I think right now in Nashville, they're feeling pretty confident right now with that Titans team that they've put out.
Absolutely. Freddie, what's your thought?
I mean, I understand. They're winning without Derrick Henry. They even have the Julio Jones on IR for a couple weeks. His team still find ways to win football games. I understand we had the Kansas City Chiefs, who've been a no-show for the most part of the season, but came along with a big victory on last night on Sunday Night Football. I understand all that. I understand you have the Bengals looking good. I mean, you have all these, these teams. I mean, like you said, the AFC is very competitive this year. All their records are very close with one another, so it's no, let me go see who has a better record. Nope, they're all right there together. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because, unlike Ray, I don't get caught up in the one game. What I've seen this year out of this team, they have fought to get back into games, to win games, to do whatever it takes to win games. We hear the slander, like my brother Ray in the top corner. They want to put some shade at my dude, Lamar Jackson, because they say he can't throw the football. Well, if he's in an organization that would want him to throw the football and put pieces around him to throw the football to, like maybe going out to get an Odell Beckham Jr., who was basically just ready to sign me. Maybe if you have a play caller that want to throw the football instead of just being a run-first team, then we will see the real Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson can throw the football. I'm tired of the slander. Kenny said it. We've said it. Hey, we've always said it on here. But I look at this Ravens team, and hey, let's not act like we forget that Lamar Jackson came in the season thinking he was going to be a quarterback. But when he saw his top running backs get hurt, and where they said, okay, Lamar, we need you to be the quarterback and the running back. So, hey, the Baltimore Ravens are the team to beat in the AFC. And shout out to my mom. She's watching.
Oh, I love it. And Freddie, thank you for calling out Greg Roman. If the Ravens really want to go far, they have to add some type of exciting offense. Like, I know what every play is going to be for the Baltimore Ravens. Wink Martindale does it on the defensive side of the football. Greg Roman needs to start calling some actionable plays for the Baltimore Ravens if they want to, because I do like the Ravens. I do think you have a good point, but the Ravens passing defense right now scares me a lot, especially with all-pro Marlon Humphrey playing like he's playing and not being the guy he's been as the last couple seasons. But I do like the Baltimore Ravens if their defense can step it up.
Okay, Ray, what's your thoughts on these Titans?
I like them. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't quite understand how they keep doing it. They have a number of really big wins. They've beaten Buffalo. They've beaten Kansas City. They beat the Rams. So they've won some big games. They have a cakewalk of a division with Houston in there as well. So I don't think they'll get a lot of, pushback.
And Jacksonville, they got 2 layups.
Yeah, they do. But for me, I look at offense and defense, I look at balance. And when I look at a team that has a plus 145 point differential, I look at the Buffalo Bills. I see a team that you do not want to have to go there and play them when it comes to the playoffs late in the year. I look at a team that can run the ball reasonably well. They can throw the ball. They got weapons. I really like Diggs. I think the Emmanuel Sanders pickup was really good for them. They got some tight ends, and the defense balls out. So I like Tennessee, and I know they beat Buffalo early this year, but for me, Buffalo is the best. And just for clarity here, we are talking about Lamar Jackson, who's thrown for over 300 yards twice this entire year and has 8 picks and a bunch of fumbles as well. So he turns the ball over.
But who's throwing the football to him as well? Who's he throwing the football to?
Listen, I don't want to hear excuses about that.
There
was a guy in New England that was throwing to the ball to a bunch of nobodies. There's a bunch of quarterbacks that have had, subpar receivers. He's throwing a bunch of picks. He turns the ball over a lot. We all saw the fumble that has cost them different games. So let's just reiterate what we're talking about here. I ain't saying he's terrible, but he turns the ball over a lot, and he's not super accurate, and he hasn't won a ton of big games when they matter. So until he does that, he ain't elite to me. But I'm going Buffalo. I believe in what they got building up there. I believe the culture. I believe that they have the defense to win, and that defense travels in the playoffs. So I'm going Buffalo.
Hold on, Jay. I want to rebuttal this young man. I want to. He's making me go there. All right. Let me ask you a question. Do you consider Patrick Mahomes an elite quarterback?
This year, I think he's been slightly above average. He hasn't played well this year. He hasn't been the Mahomes I like. He's looked bad. Even the game they just won the other night, he didn't look great, but they did win. But he has not been playing at the level I'm used to him playing at.
So you don't call him an elite quarterback no more. That's what you're saying, right?
He has not played like an elite quarterback this
year.
No.
That's not my question.
I'm talking about today. Would I consider him an elite quarterback today the way he's playing? No.
That's all I need to know. Carry on, Jay.
Well, I think I think you can be an elite quarterback and have rough games. Let's be honest. Nobody's going to say that Tom Brady is a quarterback. He guy's got 7 rings.
But yeah, he has a body of work this year that has not looked great to me.
Right, exactly. You could say this specific games he hasn't been looking elite, but he's still an elite guy because he's still got a ring. And I'm sorry, if you got a ring and you play at a high level, you're still an elite guy to me. Tom Brady is an example of that.
Trent Dilfer wasn't an elite
quarterback. What's your thoughts about these Titans?
Oh, okay. Did you say Trent Dilfer was an elite quarterback?
Not saying he wasn't, but he won.
Okay. I was just making sure I heard you right.
Like his heart stopped.
He did. He looked discombobulated.
But yeah, let me jump in on that. I think it's a 3-way race for the AFC in terms of the best team. I think when you look at the resume, you would go with Tennessee in terms of to the point about their wins. They have the most impressive resume in terms of wins. But to me, I think the differentiator is playmakers, and so that's why I go with you in terms of being with Buffalo. I think when you put all the 3 of those teams together and you look at the team that's the most dangerous in terms of offensive weaponry, I think it's the Buffalo Bills in terms of offense and defense. I think they're the most balanced and they're the most dangerous when you look at those 3 teams. So I'm with you, Ray. I got Buffalo as well. I think they're because again. You in the playoffs when it comes time to when it comes time to prime time, it's prime time players step up in big games, and that's what you need in order to win in the playoffs. And I think out of those 3 teams, unless Derrick Henry comes back and he's able to be healthy, unless Julio Jones they just got those questions with their playmakers. Unless those guys are able to come back healthy, towards the tail end of the season, then to me, it's going to be Buffalo.
I gotta tell you though, I really think the best teams are the ones that have the next man up mentality, and I think that's what Tennessee has. Tennessee Titans have the next man up mentality, and when you play as a team, you don't have to be like the Lakers and go out and get every top player in the market and put them at every position. Sometimes you can just have a team mentality and you can win. I don't mean throwing a shade away your way, Freddie, but I mean,
we're talking NFL.
But that's true because the Titans and Baltimore, I'd say, have had that next man up mentality when you look at the injuries there. I mean, both of those teams have had it. I agree. Buffalo looks solid, and he has weapons to throw to. And thank you, Bo, for shouting out Stephon Diggs, a fellow Terp from my area in Maryland. But he's somebody else I'd love to see step up more, but that's a whole nother discussion. But again, I think Buffalo has been solid. But what the Titans and the Ravens have had to do in the face of adversity, and especially, again, when I look at Baltimore, look at all their injuries, folks. No Marcus Peters. DeSager Elliott went out. I mean, it's crazy when you think about all. I mean, I look at somebody like Odafe Oweh. I mean, they've had so many guys step up, rookies step up, and have really proven themselves. And this is why I think what they've been able to do has been so impressive. But I think this is honestly why the AFC is going to be just really great battles.
Yeah, totally up in the air. You can't pick one team as a clear-cut favorite.
Yeah,
it's
been crazy.
You can make a case for 3 or 4 teams. I mean, and I don't think we've heard the last of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right, they're hitting their stride now. At the right time.
Count them out either.
Hitting their shot.
Mm-hmm.
Hey John, Miss Kelsey she's been watching her Washington Wizards down there being 10-3.
I'm watching the game right now too, and they just got the win 105-100 at home against the Pelicans.
Pelicans, that was a good comeback because they was down I think like 17 at half. I was watching.
They were playing some sloppy basketball in DC, but they cleaned it up. And let me tell you all, like right now, I haven't seen like Wizards fandemonium in a long time in Washington.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I had to go back to the Bullets days.
Look, I'm about to pull out the Bullet starter jacket now because that's how excited people are for like the Wizards right now. I mean, I'm seeing like people understand DC. Like, I mean, you always see burgundy and gold, Washington football team stuff, but like Wizards fans are hard to find now. Like they've been in hiding, since Agent Zero and Caron Butler and Antoine James. Like
they're coming out of the bunkers,
right? Like they're coming out of everywhere, and even losing John Wall, was a new look, and then Russell Westbrook, so many questions, and now there's so many new faces in DC. But y'all, they're making it work. And you're
welcome for that, by the way, Kelsey. Houston took John Wall's enormous contract off y'all's hands, so we consider that a parting gift.
Oh my God! Well, let me tell you this: John Wall has been beloved in Washington D.C., and I'll actually tell you all, fans are actually really sad right now to see how John Wall's career, it is right now, and there's so many questions about it. And if you talk to John Wall, I think most reporters and media will tell you he's a great guy. But you guys, when you think about what John Wall was and where he is now, it's hard to watch, and so it's like it's the trade worked out obviously well for the Wizards. It's just John Wall, to say, is still very beloved here in Washington D.C. So I don't know what's next.
He's doing quite well. He's getting $91 million more than what Michael Jordan got his whole career. But he only had to step up there on the court.
That's
true.
I
wouldn't count out John Wall.
No, he still has the
his mentality. Yeah, he's a dog, man. He's got that dog mentality.
He needs the right system.
It's just and he will be playing. He will be playing in Houston right now. They're just looking for someone. They're just looking for a trade partner to get him out of there. Or else he would be playing right now. I've seen some clips of him over the summer, and he still got that burst. I've seen him going 1-on-1 with Jalen Green, and he was blowing by him. So he still got the that burst to get to the end of the lane. So I think it's just a matter of it. And honestly, I don't think they're going to find a trade partner. They're going to wind up having to buy him out.
That contract's terrible.
In that second half of the season, it's going to be really interesting. He can be a difference maker on somebody's roster. So I don't think we've heard the last of John Wall for sure.
Lakers.
I'm going to switch gears back on over to Cam Newton and his first game back. And I got to be honest with you, he was electrifying for the first few minutes, but I kind of got lost when there was no reps after that, and Walker got all the reps. I don't know why they didn't give him more reps after he 3 for 4 for like 80-something yards. I mean, I don't understand why they didn't use him more. They said they're going to use him more. Kelsey, what's your thoughts on Cam Newton and the Panthers?
Cam Newton said it in that soundbite that we've all watched. He's back.
Mhm.
He's
He's
back
back.
from the ninja, right? Like, I can't do the voice he did, but it was so nice to watch that clip and just seeing Cam Newton back home. You know, I think Cam Newton just saying, I mean, he said it in the press conference like a week ago, y'all. He was eating a bowl of cereal, watching the games like the rest of us, and now all of a sudden, I mean, my phone kept like, Cam Newton touchdown. I'm like, just geez. And this is what the Panthers have needed. You know, the Panthers, you know, many were saying the Panthers are showing us who they really were, right? I mean, they gave us an electrifying start. We're like, oh, Sam Darnold and the Panthers. Then all of a sudden, okay, oh yeah, that's the Sam Darnold we know. And then all of a sudden now Cam Newton's back in the fold, and we know what Cam Newton can be. And I think many of us feel like he got unjustly cut from the New England Patriots. And for Cam Newton to be out of football this long, and there's been a lot of bad quarterback play. I won't call out any names. It's been ridiculous. I think for Cam Newton to be back, his mojo's back. And when you're playing with a chip on your shoulder, you know you're giving even more. And so looking at this Cam Newton team, which I'm doing a lot of now since Washington football team will be playing the Carolina Panthers, and I'm just like, dang, Washington got Carolina at a bad time because now Cam Newton's back in the fold. Christian McCaffrey, like, I mean, just geez. And I'll tell you, Cam Newton looks good. And I think, you know, as we're talking about, we're in the later part of the season, right? We're going to week 11. We're thinking about the playoff push. You're looking at where the Carolina Panthers are. I do think Cam Newton is a difference maker for that squad. If I'm in the locker room, he's making me believe more. I have a guy I can trust in, a guy that's done it on the highest level, right? A former MVP, just a guy that's proven himself time in and time out. So I like Cam Newton back with the Carolina Panthers. And I understand the team that they beat in the Cardinals was not the same team, right? Because obviously without Kyler Murray, without the top receiver, but Cam Newton back in that fold, y'all, we're watching these games now. We're watching them now. We're waiting for the Cam Newton highlights. I think it's an exciting time in North Carolina.
Yes, it is. Freddie, what you got?
I definitely agree, and you could definitely tell that Cam came in, gave his team a spark. They like their energy. This dude comes in and hey, I mean, I don't really understand the first, why they didn't play him as much. I just thought that was kind of weird. Well, if you signed this dude, you have the expectation that he'd be your quarterback while Darnold is down with injury. And I will say this: if he come in this next Sunday, ball out, they win, and they keep playing good, I don't see how you could bring Sam Darnold back in the mix. I just love it for the fact that Cam Newton is back with his original team. That city loves Cam, what he does off the field, what he done on the field. And I just thought it was a good pickup for him. And like I said, what I see on the field is a guy that lift up his teammates, give them that extra boost that they needed, and now they believe that they can make a run. Because they're not too far out of you guys. They still can make the run. With the Saints have questionable who's going to be their quarterback. With them losing on Sunday, the Falcons are being who they are. So they can clearly be that number 2 team in that division this year.
All right, Mr. Ray.
No, I agree. I said it, I think, on the Friday episode I was on. I thought Cam could definitely be the starter for the rest of the year. And I think after this year, he could come back and, similar to Michael Vick, maybe reinvent himself. He's only 32. The key for Cam, I think, is going to be health. If he can stay healthy. I think that's why we didn't see a lot of him last week, because they were using him more in like a Taysom Hill kind of role where it was more running, read option stuff. I don't think he knows enough of the offense yet to be the full-time starter. I think that will come in the next week or two. It would be interesting if he ends up being the full-time starter when he comes back against Washington next week. I would be torn. I've always been a Cam fan. I really like what he stands for. I thought we might take a run at him, but we didn't. But no, I think and to Freddie's point, I said this last week, I think the NFC is pretty wide open. Only one team I think is coming out of the East. Really one team's coming out of the North. So there could be 2 teams out of the South, 2 teams out of the West. There's 7 spots. I fully think that if he is the full-time quarterback and McCaffrey can stay healthy so that they don't have to rely on Cam to do everything, with Hubbard and McCaffrey having that 2 running back system, and Robbie Anderson as a deep threat, I definitely think Carolina has a great opportunity, and Cam Newton is their best option going forward. And now they got to figure out what to do with Darnold, which I think we all knew that wasn't going to work anyway.
What do you think there, Mr. Keith?
It's Kenny, but it's okay.
Oh, Kenny, I'm sorry. Kenny.
That's all good. I get it all the time. It's all good. So I think that to Ray's point, I agree with Ray. I just think they put a limited package in because you just got there, on Thursday or Friday, whatever it was, when he actually signed with them. I just think they put a limited package in, for this week. And I think we see the full version of Cam, this coming week against. And what a perfect scenario to go against the guy that coached you all those years in Charlotte, and to be able to go and beat his team because you were out there for a minute and he didn't give you, that could add the chip to his shoulder that Kelsey was talking about. That could be an additional chip on the shoulder that Ron Rivera saw him out there on the street and didn't, even give him a phone call or give him a look, when my man Fitzmagic went down. So that could be another thing that he puts in his bag and adds his fuel to his fire. So I like you said, the NFC in terms of those wild card spots is wide open. So they have an opportunity. And I think to me, that's the best case scenario for Kim because they got weapons not only on the outside, you got weapons on the outside with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, but then you got that run pass option with him and McCaffrey. Like that's dangerous. When they run that read option between those two guys, like you got to pick your poison. And then, he could pull it back and play action and then start throwing it over top to those guys on the outside. So I think Matt Rule has a lot of, toys now he can play with. And now he's got a whole week to kind of game plan and to strategize. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm just happy for Cam. And another thing is he had half a season where he didn't have any wear and tear, where he didn't have to take any hits. So he's, kind of been off the first half of the season. So he comes to this second half of the season very fresh. Yep. So this could be a really dangerous Cam Newton. So it's going to be exciting to see how the Panthers look over the second half of the season.
I agree.
I just in the fold. I'm sorry. He's going to get only more in the fold, which means he's only probably going to get better, which is actually pretty scary, I think, for other teams. And you talked about the weapons in Anderson and DJ Moore, another Terp. I mean, weapons at his disposal. This is what Cam has wanted. This is what he's asked for. And I think he knows this is his second hoorah, right? Basically his second chance to prove why he deserves to be in the National Football League.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, if you look at his Patriots time, it just wasn't. And of course, he didn't have a lot of weapons at the Patriots either, but it really wasn't all that fruitious with the Patriots. So for me, with Carolina, I just want to see a good 20, 30 reps in the game and see if he really is 100% back, or if he's, I just need to see at least 20, 30 reps. But I tell you what, the limited reps that we did see was electrifying. So I can't wait to see what he does when he gets to go 30, 40 reps in there. All right, let's move on to the next.
Jason, her name is Kelsey Nicole Nelson down there on Fox Sports Radio. You can check her out down there in Washington. She's a woman.
Plenty.
Now, so we move on. Now we got the top 5 teams in the NFL. For me personally, and this is no particular order, but I got Tennessee, Green Bay, Dallas, Arizona. I was going to say the Rams, but after tonight's shellac, and I'm kind of torn now. So I think I'm going to go with Buffalo as the 5th team in there. And of course, no particular order. Who's your top 5, Miss Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm like you. The Rams, I'm like looking at the score like, wait, this is definitely not playing out how I want it to go. But of course, there's still lots of football left. So the Rams are a very interesting team because I think many of us were just riding high after Von Miller and OBJ and so many others. I like your list. Let's see. For me, I'm going to put Tampa Bay in there just because, still when you have Tom Brady at your disposal. Green Bay, I'll still put in there. The Cardinals, it all kind of depends on the health of the team. I like your list, but you know what? I'm still going to put the Rams in there because I think if they can make it work, if they can make what we see on paper work, they can be a very, very special team. But also, I'd say the Chiefs. The Chiefs are hitting their strides at the right time. They still have the weapons, and they're starting to mesh at the right time, too. So I think if you have the Chiefs in there, Green Bay just has a lot going on, but I still would put Green Bay in there. I do like the Rams. Titans, I'll put the Buccaneers in there. And you know what? I'm going to even put the Titans in there because, again, they just continue to surprise me and be that team that each week I'm like, oh, yeah, Tennessee Titans. They're still playing in the National Football League, and they're still very interesting to watch.
All right, Mr. Freddie, who's your top 5?
All right. Like I say every week, this
Green
list
Bay, number 1.
This list changes week to week.
As it should.
You see, as it should, because things happen week to week. Number 1, I have to go with the Tennessee Titans. Why is that? Wow. It's because if you would have told me if Derrick Henry going out without a Julio Jones, and this team will continue to win. And yes, they have done that. They are striving, and they are, like you said, that next man up mentality. Number 2, it has to go to the Green Bay Packers. It has to. Why is that? It's because Aaron Rodgers, who lied, said he was immunized. He lied. He came back. But that defense, it's more on that defense on yesterday that was able to shut out Russell Wilson. And so you got to give they're finding ways to win games without depending on Aaron Rodgers every time. So got to give them number 2. Number 3. And I hate to do this. I hate to pump people heads up because when you pump them up,
Dallas. You know you got it.
You know what that means.
Kelsey, when you pump people heads up,
can't just say you always got to throw a backhanded compliment.
Miss Kelsey, when you pump their heads up, they start feeling some type of way.
Go ahead.
This man gonna feel some type of way. Yes. You gotta give it to the Dallas Cowboys. After they lost to the Denver Broncos, they came back yesterday. Did they not just beat the Falcons? They slaughtered the Falcons.
Mollywopped them.
Yeah. I mean, they took care of their business. They did what they were supposed to do. So you got to give them at number 3. Number 4, I do have the Cardinals there, finding ways to win without Kyler Murray, even though they lost yesterday. But, you still got to give them their respect. And got to show them love. And number 5, the number 5 is tough because you got so many teams that can fight in there for it. I'm gonna give it to the Los Angeles Rams. Even though they losing tonight, this game not over. They still can come back and win. But hey, this team is destined to go on a run. They brought in Odell Beckham Jr. They already have Cooper Kupp over there. They brought in Von Miller with Ramsey and Aaron Donald. I do believe in this team. They will find a way to get back in this football game. But those are my top 5.
No Buffalo, huh? No love for Buffalo.
No, they got 2 bad wins, 2 bad losses, in my opinion, to me.
What you got, Ray?
So I'm going a bit of a different direction from most of y'all. And somebody said it earlier with the AFC not being the greatest. I don't have a lot of faith in really anybody in the AFC outside of my number 1 team, which is the Buffalo Bills. That point differential is the point differential. Everybody that you look at has a bad loss. So that doesn't mean a lot to me. Number 2, I'm going to go with Arizona. I believe when healthy, that offense is dynamic. James Conner looks like a completely different person. Kind of makes me look at Mike Tomlin away, and I love Mike Tomlin. But something was wrong with how they were using James Conner because he looks amazing. I think he leads the league in touchdowns right now, and he had a couple more this past week, even in that loss. He got one at the end of the game, even in that loss, which messed up one of my DraftKings bets, but that's a different conversation. Number 3, I am going to go with the Rams. I think the Rams, what we're seeing right now is a team that has so many moving parts. You got to remember, they just got Matt Stafford this year. He was really starting to get into the offense. They were getting going. We saw what they did to Tampa. And now they not only brought in Odell Beckham, which is a big adjustment, but they also lost Robert Woods. And those 2 are not the same types of receiver. I think that'll be a big adjustment. They've brought in a bunch of players on the defensive side that can play, but they got to learn the system. They got to learn gap control, got to be consistent. That first drive tonight that we saw when San Francisco drove the ball 90 yards, that shouldn't happen. But I think a lot of that has to do with just kind of figure things out. They got a bunch of moving pieces. I believe Sean McVay will figure it out. 4, I am going to go Tampa. It's Tom Brady. Like, it's that simple. But they've also, you talk about injuries, they've dealt with a plethora of injuries especially on the defensive side of the ball and in the secondary, which, it wasn't that great to start the year based on what Dallas did, and it hasn't gotten any better because they've been hurt, and the missing Gronk and missing AB are critical for Tom Brady at this point in his career. So I'm not super concerned. I think they'll figure that out. And then last but not least, and it sucks to say this, I wanted to go in other directions, but I could not convince myself to go in a different direction. As someone from the DMV, I got to say Dallas. By and large, they've looked good. They've run the ball.
It hurts you guys to say it.
It does. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It makes me sick to even say it and think it. But hey, the Michael Parsons, I love him. I think he's going to be really good for a long time. Hopefully, he stays healthy. Trayvon Diggs also phenomenal. Done really was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year for a while. Really, both of them at different points. Dak has looked pretty good. That offensive firepower. Amari looks like he's playing each game this year. He's not taking games off. Zeke has looked good. Pollard. Like, there's not really a weakness I see, but they're Dallas, so they'll figure out the way to screw it up. But at this point, I got to give them.
There you go. Let the
Ray,
hate
don't
flow
do there.
from-
I see a
Let the
weakness.
hate flow from you. Let the
Ray,
hate flow
there
from
is a weakness. Don't do
You know,
that, sir. Don't
you
do
know,
that.
with Tampa though. The only thing with Tampa, I mean, yeah, having Gronk and not having AB definitely hurts them. But I really think with Tampa, what bothers me with those guys is their defense. They have a lot of questions on that defense. Nobody's scared of Tampa defense. Nobody.
That's a fact.
Don't give Brady the ball last.
Hey, I
That's
feel
the
you.
thing with
But
Brady,
for
yeah.
me, it's that defense. That
But
defense kind
if
of
you
makes me a
don't
little
have those, if
skeptical
he
about
doesn't
Tampa.
have those weapons, though, he's not the same Brady. That's what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. So, like you already said, you lose 3 top wide receivers, Godwin, you lose AB, you lose Gronk.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
And
firepower.
Scotty Miller's been out too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of firepower.
Okay, Kenny. So who's your top 5?
I can't believe that my
He was about to say some nonsense. That's why I shut him down.
Exactly. That's all that was about to happen. That's all that was about to happen.
Sports gods already knew it was coming.
That is so funny. That timing.
It literally was like perfect timing, right? When he was about to give his top 5. I can guarantee you Kenny was going to have Dallas in there. We can just go ahead.
He was going to have probably like 1 or 2, and that's why they shut him down.
And yeah, if we're talking about Dallas, shout out to Trayvon Diggs as well from the DMV area.
Well, we'll have to get Kenny's top 5 a little bit later when he comes back and joins us. So that brings us up to now. Let me see here. I lost my list.
I'm going to Monday Night Football.
Yes, thank you. My computer died on me. Monday Night Football, which is obviously what we've been talking about, which still is 21-7 as a score. And I don't know. It's just crazy to me. I really thought that the Rams were going to have a little bit more than what they're giving us. I haven't seen anything from Odell Beckham in this game at all. But right now, I see a lot of 49ers scoring and very little defense coming from the Rams.
I believe that it is a thing, and that's.
Did that come out of nowhere?
Yeah.
That must have been the ghost of Kenny coming back to find us. What do you think about this game right now going on between the Rams and 49ers, Kelsey?
Honestly, you guys are going to have to – I was watching the Wizards game. So I'm like starting this game like you all. And I'm like, all right, 21-7, which again, surprising to me because I really thought that the Rams would dominate this game. You think about their offensive side of the football, quarterback play, the offensive weapons. Of course, we talked about OBJ, Von Miller being active. And I'm just surprised, quite frankly.
Right.
But again, this is just showing though that you can't just believe how a team looks on paper, right? I think another team I think about this with is the Cleveland Browns, where on paper before, especially, everything was there, but when they play, it's like, well, everything's not meshing with them. And so I think this is a big test for the Rams. Again, when they got these weapons, and look, OBJ wanted to go there. Why? He wants what? He wants a Super Bowl ring, right? He said he wanted a great coach. He's got that. He's literally got everything that he's asked for. He's got his boys there, right? Jalen Ramsey helping to recruit him and everything there. But right now I'm looking at the score, I'm looking at the time left, and they just have a lot of stepping up to do. So again, lots of questions right now surrounding this game. But even if they lose this game, I'm still pretty confident in this Rams team just based on the weapons that they have and their head coach. I feel like they can go a good distance, but I'm telling you all, the Rams, they scare me because I feel like when they're good, but I do think there's still some questions surrounding them and really the meshing of this team. But I do like OBJ, the addition of him. I want to see how they use him. I know they want to use him in versatile ways. And let's be honest, OBJ wanted out of Cleveland because he wanted to be used. Right? For me, he's like, use me in the right way and get me a guy that can actually use me. But no shots at Baker, even though he said that, even though we knew what the real deal was. But yeah, I just have questions about this Rams, especially against the 49ers and what I'm looking at in the score. So what did I miss, fellas? Like, catch me up on this game while I was watching the Wizards.
Yeah, I was pulling up my stats on this game right now. I know, Odell Beckham Jr. is supposed to be the X factor in this game. And the fact that he hasn't been used as much, obviously it's going to be a limited number of plays for him because he doesn't know the language and things like that. But I would suspect that if they could get him more involved in this game and get their defense more involved, it would probably be a different scenario. Freddie, what are your thoughts on it? Did he freeze up?
I think we lost him too. I was like, wait, I couldn't tell if he was.
Everyone bites the dust. All right, Ray, we're going to go to you. What do you think about this one so far? As part of the game, what you've seen, what do you think is going to be the key for this team, for the Rams, that they're going to turn it around? What are they going to have to do?
I think the score is a little misleading. One of the scores was a pick six. Like that you can't do anything about that. I think what we saw on the first drive, the first play of the game, they threw a stop route to Odell. The long interception came on a forced throw and double coverage to Odell. And I think that's part of the issue that Baker had is you want to get him involved because you see he's such a dynamic talent. He can make so many plays that you throw him the ball when maybe you shouldn't throw him the ball. And then when you get burned, then you stop looking that way because you got burned when you were going that way. So I think Odell is a supreme talent, but I think it's just really hard to introduce him to an environment. And I think what you're seeing right now is you miss that Robert Woods type of receiver, that guy that can move the sticks, that can, run the in-breaking routes, that can get some of those gritty yards, that can block on the outside on those stretch run plays. Odell's not that kind of guy.
Right.
So it's not opening up the Cooper Kupps of the world to really do what he does. And like I said, I looked at the stats. He has 4 for 44. That's not a Cooper Kupp type of game. And we saw the stop route to Odell. We saw the bomb to Odell. And Odell only has 3 targets, and we're halfway through the third or over halfway through the third quarter. So I think it's a lot. I would like to see Odell, because he's a dynamic athlete, hitting more, maybe a pop pass, throwing some screens, do something to get the ball in his hands early, which is what I thought they were going to do based on the first drive. But after they threw that bomb to him that ended up in the interception, which is just a bad throw. And Matt Stafford's been wild this game. He overthrew a couple people. I just think it's trying to ingratiate him, but I think the key is just get the ball in his hands. He can be that role like Robert Woods, but I don't think he's going to run a bunch of slants. He's not going to run those 10-yard in routes where those linebackers are waiting for him. And you need that when you're moving down the ball down the field methodically. So they just got to figure it out. And I think it's going to take them some time. And it's division games are always tough.
Hey, to kind of go back to Kenny, I'm going to touch back on your top 5. Who'd you have as your top 5, Kenny?
Oh, yeah. See, I was about to agree with Freddie. That's why I lost my connection. That lets you tell you everything you need to know. Now, seriously. So I'm very similar. I just got one team that's a little different from Freddie. I got Tennessee 1, Green Bay 2, Dallas 3, Arizona 4, and I got Buffalo at 5. So just one team different than Freddie.
You know what, Kenny? You finally learned it. Kelsey, I'm gonna brag real quick because Kenny right here deserves an A. Me and Kenny been doing this for a year now, and I've been coming on here teaching this man. Kenny, do this, and he's
finish.
Good job.
So Kelsey, you're not familiar with this, but I'm gonna explain it to you. What you just heard was called Freddie facts. And it's basically what these are facts only in the mind of Freddie. So everyone else, they're total falsehoods and they have no basis in reality, but they're in Freddie's mind, they're Freddie facts. So you just experienced your first dose of Freddie facts.
First time for everyone.
Speaking of Freddie facts, Freddie, I'm looking like we're talking about this game, 21-7. What are these Rams? We already heard what Ray thinks the Rams need to do. What do you think the Rams need to do or do you think they will come back and take the 49ers? Or is this just going to be another loss for the Rams?
It's a marathon, not a sprint. We got to be patient. Just taking time. You got to remember, they're trying to put in 2 big pieces into this team. One on the offensive end with Odell Beckham Jr., one on the defensive end with Von Miller. It takes time. I believe, Sean McVay, he's a great head coach. He definitely will find a way to make things work. So I'm not tripping. I mean, we never know. We see offenses get hot in the fourth quarter and their defense may keep plays. They can get right back in this football game. I'm not taking much off this game, honestly.
We all saw the Super Bowl. We know what Jimmy G can do in the fourth quarter. He'll give us 1 or 2.
Okay, Kenny, what's your thoughts real quick on these Rams?
Yeah, I kind of similar to what Freddie said. I think, they got there's some pieces that they're trying to integrate in. Of course, OBJ just got there. So they're trying, they're going to figure out in the next few weeks how they're going to be able to best utilize him. To Ray's point, losing Robert Woods, that is a big loss because he did so many things for them offensively. He's a guy that, like you said, he can block, he can, make plays and wide receiver. They give him the ball as a running back sometimes on those end arounds and things of that nature. So he was just a big playmaker for them. So that's going to be interesting. to see how they're able to adjust to that. They might be kind of kicking themselves for letting Deshaun Jackson go, because I think he could have helped them as well now that they've lost Robert Woods. But it's really now, it's now or never. They went all in, this year. So this is the year they got to get it done. And this is the year Sean McVay's got to get it done. He's been the boy wonder or the coach genius or whatever title you want to give him, but being a young guy that's been the hot head coach. And so like, this is the year that they got to get it done. So there's some pressure on them. So it's going to be, the time will tell how they respond. Matt Stafford, we know, doesn't have the greatest resume from his time in Detroit, but of course that probably has more to do with him being in Detroit. So now we're going to see how he is on the big stage. We're going to see how OBJ is on the big stage, because to be honest, the one time we did see him on the big stage in the playoffs, he was dropping passes. So there's there's some questions that have to be answered for the Rams. So I'm gonna be tuned in, of course, because I want to see what's going to happen, and we see them further on down the line in the season. So it's going to be, they got questions that have to be answered, but they got all the tools. They got everything that they need in order to be successful. So they don't have any excuse.
Absolutely. And for the sake of time, we're going to skip the last two and jump over to the NBA real quick. And I was want to see if we get everybody's quick hot take on what they see in the NBA. Mine is, while the Lakers are kind of floundering down at the bottom of the playoff rankings and Golden State seems to be the team to beat, I think the Phoenix Suns are going to be the ones that come out the end and take the title this year. Freddie, what's your hot take?
Oh, boy, dark days on its way, you guys. Dark days are on its way. And I'm not taking much off of yesterday's victory, but the Los Angeles Lakers are getting healthy. We can't worry about these last 10, 11 games. It starts with my roster's healthy. Because guess what? We see Kent Bazemore didn't get no playing time. We see DeAndre Jordan lost his playing time. Because of why? THT, Taylor Horton Tucker. Hey, he's a stud. Hey, he's going to be a beast for my Lakers. Old Bron should be back on the way. Oh, and look at old Jonathan being sensitive down there, talking about his LA teams are done. Jonathan, stop being so sensitive, my brother. Breathe, Jonathan. Breathe. Breathe in.
Can you make a hot take about somebody besides the Lakers?
Breathe in. Man. Breathe out. Jonathan, try to help you. LeBron's on his way back. Hey, this team is destined to get back healthy, and they will make a run. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but I'm just saying they will make a run.
I am not a Lakers fan, but yeah, I agree with Jonathan. They are done.
Oh, wow. No, they're not done. They got to. I think it's just a matter of them figuring out, roles, and because this is basically a totally new roster. Like this, I think it's 3 returning players from last year, and it's 11 or 12 new guys. So it's just a matter of them figuring out, who works well with who, which combination. And Frank Vogel's trying to figure it out, and he's throwing different combinations out there. And of course, you're dealing with injuries as well, so he's got to try different combinations, see
Kenny,
what works, what doesn't work.
If I was Genie Plus and Rob Pelinka, I'll fire Frank Vogel right now. I do not like him as a coach. I really don't. And I've always said this. His adjustments makes me sick. His lineups make me sick. One day he can do this. If it works, then it's
tripping. That man just won a championship. Now you want to fire?
You know what's interesting? When the Lakers really set this team up for excuses. With all the players that they brought in, all the ages that they did, there's a plethora of a number of excuses that Freddie can use to explain these Lakers away. And he's going to use every one of them by the time this year is done. I look forward to hearing it personally, Freddie.
No excuses.
No, I'm not with. I think you're jumping off the bridge with that one with Frank Vogel. I think he's a good coach. I think ultimately he is known more as a defensive coach. But when you have these, and this is not no disrespect, when you have older guys, they're not going to be able to give you that effort on the defensive end, because that's what defense is. Defense is effort. So you got to kind of pick and choose your spots in terms of expecting anything on the defensive end for those guys. And I think, again, you're trying to figure it out offensively. You got, Melo, who needs the ball. You got LeBron that needs touches. You got Russ that needs touches. You got AD that needs touches. Then you got, guys like you talk about THT and, and the list goes on and on. So you got a bunch of guys that you got to figure out how the offense is going to be running. And I think that's what they're doing right now. They're just experimenting and seeing what works.
Yeah. It's growing pains, I would say, with the Los Angeles Lakers. Right? You have all these new pieces. You're trying to make mesh. And also, with an older team, you have guys that, quite frankly, they're going to do what they want to do, right? When you have a younger team, you can kind of get guys to be more flexible and kind of buy into things. But I think this is why the Lakers, they're trying to make it work. But again, it's a little bit harder. And so we're seeing that play out. I'm still thinking the Lakers will get it together, right? I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but this is what happens. I saw it happen last year in Washington with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. When that first happened, they had to go through some growing pains for it to finally mesh and finally work. But at the other end of it, if we're being fair, what the Washington Wizards are doing with growing pains, it's worked for them right now. Whole new look team, and they're believing in the system that Wes Unseld Jr. Is doing with this Washington Wizards squad. So it's interesting. I'm just pointing out to see the other end of it when it can work really well with growing pains, and that's right now the Wizards are the first team with 10 wins.
Speaking of pointing things out, Ms. Kelsey, what's your hot take for the NBA this year?
Oh my gosh. All right. I might as well stay with the Wizards. I've heard people in DC say, this is just the hot streak. This is just how the Wizards are starting. It's going to slow down. It's going to calm down. And I'm saying, no, this Washington Wizards team, my hot take is I think they're going to be the team to beat in the East. I'm saying it here. I like what they're doing.
I think my computer just blew up. That was pretty hot. It was sizzling.
It was hot, right? And right now, they're winning without Bradley Beal, all right? Bradley Beal is the leading scorer on that squad. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing for the Washington Wizards. And it's about time we talk about good basketball in Washington on the pro level.
Yeah, they need that. All right, Ray, what is your hot take for the NBA, brother?
Real quick, I want to say they also have been playing without Rory Hachimura. He's been out as well. So I think when he gets back, that'll definitely add even more depth.
No doubt.
So I'm gonna stay in the Eastern Conference, and I'm gonna say it's like a hot take, but it's two parts. If Philadelphia does not trade Ben Simmons, and if Boston does not trade for a true point guard, they're both going to miss the playoffs in the East.
Wow.
Woo, that's a pretty good one. I like that one. All right, Kenneth.
I like the Celtics part of that.
Yeah.
I like the Celtics part of that. But I think Philly has enough as long as Embiid is able to stay healthy, and
that's it though. He can.
And Shake has come on this year. Not Shake. I'm sorry. Tyrese Maxey has come on this year. He's been playing really well. Seth Curry has been playing really well, and Tobias Harris, to me, he's like clockwork. You know what you're going to get from him every night in and night out. So I think it's a matter of as long as Embiid is able to stay healthy, I think they'll figure out a way to make the playoffs. But I'm with you on that, Boston. I got questions about that team.
Just for points of order, the Hawks, Bucks, and Pacers are all sitting outside of the playoffs right now.
It's a lot. The East is going to be,
and the Hawks just beat the Bucks.
Yeah, the East is going to be. It's going to be a mad dash to get to the playoffs because that's my hot take.
Yeah.
The Charlotte Hornets are coming.
Ooh.
They just beat the Warriors.
That's good. That's hot.
But they do look good, yeah.
The Charlotte Hornets are coming. We got to watch out for them in the East. They were, along with Kelsey, with the Wizards. Those are my two teams that I had in terms of being dark horse candidates in the East. So I just think they got a great young core. And then, bring in my man, his name just escaped me, left-hand guy that came from Golden State last
Kelly
year.
Oubre,
bringing him in was just like that's just give them some more firepower coming off the bench.
Right.
With him and Scary Terry, I think they just got a lot of. And Miles Bridges is taking another step. To me, he's going to be one of the next elite players that we're going to see in this league. So I just think they got a lot of talent down there in Charlotte. So I think we got to watch out for the Hornets. I think I could see them as a top 5 seed in the East this year.
And now that PJ Washington got his baby mama situation settled, he play better.
Ouch!
Hey,
You guys,
David
people heal. That still hurts.
Hey, Kelsey, want to thank you for coming
Yes,
on.
thank you so much for having me, fellas. Lots of fun. I wish I could stay on longer. I'm so sorry. I thought this was an hour, but it was so much fun. But again, just lots of great sports going on. You guys do a phenomenal job. Shout out to everyone listening as well. I truly did even enjoy reading the comments. So yeah, thanks so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of this Football Monday. Bye, guys.
Okay, everybody, this has been ASAP Real Talk, and we enjoy having Miss Kelsey on, talking sports with her. And you can catch us, and make sure you like, comment, and share our content. We look forward to seeing you guys next go around.
Are we done?
I believe we're. Oh, do we have more?
Yeah, I was ready to go.
Hey, no, that's fine. I thought we were just doing an hour. Hey, listen, we can cover more.
Hey, because I was acting nice today. We had guests that I said would be nice today. Because, Ray said a couple outlandish things. Kenny, he was in line. He know what's up. Hey.
I just spit the truth. That's all I know. I got stats and facts to back up every outlandish claim I got.
Hey, well, you sound like me.
Oh, yeah.
And I let you know on the Lakers topic, but they ain't going nowhere with that current point guard. And
We
see
you knew when they took off Russell Westbrook. Come on now. That man's he ain't taking nowhere. He didn't do it in OKC. He sure as hell didn't do it in Houston. He didn't do it in Washington. Matter of fact, Washington got better when he left.
Washington was terrible
to be
until
fair,
like halfway through the year.
If we're going to be fair, they won that trade. Washington, if we're going to look back at that trade, the Washington won that trade.
That's only because Russ is gone now. If Russ would have stayed, it was a wash.
He said Westbrook.
No, I'm talking about between them and the Lakers and Washington. That trade.
Yeah.
Washington won that trade.
I think I thought that Buddy Hield was going to be the target. He made way more sense. But when they was willing to give us all of that for Russ, thank God.
Nate, I want to tell me how is Russ now. One thing I'm not going to let you do.
Yeah,
He's not against. I've never heard teammates come out and say they don't like Russ or anything like that. We're gonna say something. Let's make sure
everybody leaves Russ though.
Yeah, but that's on court though. It's not on the locker room.
But to be fair though, I think it's not a matter of him being a cancer in the locker room. I think Russ sometimes Russ is his own worst enemy sometimes. And that's just on the court. There's nothing off the court or nothing in the locker room that anyone's ever said about this guy. He's a stand-up guy. So I'm with you, Freddie, about him not being a cancer. We don't want to push that narrative. But I think the problem with Russ is that he has that, it's almost like a switch that goes off in his head where it's like, I got to take over the game. Where he doesn't just trust his teammates and doesn't try to make plays.
Hey, Kenny, you're not wrong about that because the other night I'm watching the game.
Yeah, it's just
he tries to hit those damn 3-pointers, and he know he's not a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, he.
My thing is Anthony Davis is cooking, and I'm like, okay, we need to run our offense through AD, put AD in the post, and
that's how it should be all the time. Offense needs to run through AD all the time, and everybody else gets this after. He should be option number one.
Yeah, because the dude is getting double teamed, and and then finally, I don't know who talked to him. Finally, they say, you know what? And that's why I think the best thing for THT to be back, because we saw in that fourth quarter where instead of Russ bringing the ball up, THT started bringing the ball up, and you saw Anthony Davis bring the ball up. So.
Yeah,
so what are you going to try to get Russell to a shooting guard instead of
that's
point?
another part of it too. Is that LeBron not being there because we know LeBron's in the game, he's going to control the ball. So I think that's part of it too. Is once LeBron gets back, then I think you see a little better ball movement. And I think at some point we might have to make a decision about looking at bringing Westbrook off the bench. It might be something that they have to look into.
The worst thing for the Lakers, honestly, is health. The health of LeBron, the health of AD. If those guys can stay healthy, then okay, yeah, you got a shot at the title. But if they can't, which let's be honest, ain't neither one of them spring. Well, Anthony Davis still has some youth left in him. But Braun ain't got that youth no more. I don't care how that $1 million body he got. Listen, you can't take Father Time all the time. Father Time will get you in the end. And Father Time is slowly creeping in on him. And I really think the health of Braun, how much can you put on Braun? How much can he take overall in the course of an entire season? That's
why the Lakers need THT to be the guy they want him to be, where he can spell, LeBron. If he can come in and
start playing Rondo too.
Yeah, those guys can play valuable minutes where LeBron don't have to do everything. where he don't have to be the backbone of this team every single night, where he saves his guy. That's why it's very important. Anthony Davis, he needs to demand, say, hey, this is my team. Hey, this offense go through me, like Kenny said. Like if there should be no possession where Anthony Davis do not touch the basketball. That should not happen. He should be in some kind of screen. He should be in the pick and roll. He should be in the post. He should.
That's why Rondo should be having a more of a point guard type duties because Rondo, that will happen with Rondo.
Well, I will say, I believe in 40 games in the season, I'm not sure if the Lakers will do this, but hey, you definitely, if this is not working, you definitely have to go out and look at your other options. Just contact us, Sacramento, say, hey, is it too late for Buddy? Because hey, we hear the reports between the Sacramento that hey, if they keep losing, Luke Walton's out the door, so that means they can continue their rebuild. And we know Buddy Hield, he's not been happy there. And they said, well, you know what? If we can get a Russell Westbrook, a superstar, we can't get a superstar in Sacramento. You shaking your head, but I mean, how long have they been?
You have a superstar point guard or all-star point guard already.
But where's it getting them? Where's it getting them? We see
where
Russ.
Would Russ get them? Russ is going to take that
one
team
thing
even
I do know about Russ.
down the hole.
Well, yeah, you can say that, but one thing we see about Russ is when he's the guy by himself with these sorry teams, he can't help lead the team to the playoffs. We've seen that before.
That was a long time ago. Those days are long gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's definitely long gone.
He did lead that Washington team last year.
He did not lead that Washington team. Trust me, I lived here. That team was like 11-30 at one point. Bradley Beal.
But they came back in the second half of the season. And in those last 2 weeks when Bradley Beal was hurt, that was Russ.
All right. Y'all believe okay. I hope he gets traded so he can show you who he is. He is not leading a team anywhere.
Nah, that was the one. That was the one trade out of all the moves that the Lakers did. That was the one I questioned the most. Was the Russell trade? I was like, they don't need that.
And you guys have mentioned a bunch of Lakers players, all really good in their right. But we know when it comes to the playoffs, at some point you got to stop somebody. You haven't mentioned anybody that's stopping anybody at a key point in the game. On the Lakers, who's going to guard on the Lakers?
To me, that's a little overrated to me though, because it's about getting timely stops. It's not you don't have to be a lockdown team. You just got to get timely stops.
This team will start playing great defense. This team is not built for the regular season. That's one you got to remember. This team is built for the playoffs. You have veteran guys on this team. That's why you need the younger guys to start.
Yeah, but the regular season is a telltale sign for what's to come in the playoffs.
Not for this team. No, not for this team. Because I believe a Trevor Ariza who can make a big difference in the playoffs. A Carmelo.
Trevor Ariza hasn't been relevant in a hot minute.
But he plays his role.
He hasn't. I'm sorry. He has not been relevant in a hot minute.
Jay McLovin, he plays his role.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for them to find minutes for a reason.
But I'm just saying, if he get on the court, he's going to know his role. That's what I'm saying. Like when we had Markieff Morris, he didn't play a lot with the Lakers, but guess what? When he played, he know how to play his role.
And he's in a different tier of player.
Look at a Carmelo Anthony. He comes in, he knows his role. A Rajon Rondo can come in there and give you 10 and 10 a night. Knows his role. Dwight Howard knows his role. Wayne Ellington can come in there, knows his role. You don't have to worry about Bron going over there to a coup. Say, hey, when you on this play, you do this, do that. They know their role. They know when Kent Bazemore, good defensive player. Avery Bradley, good defensive player. Who's going to be the anchor on this defense? Anthony Davis.
They will not be on the floor at the end of the game.
Dwight Howard, guys.
Bron plays defense when it matters.
But to your point, though, Freddie, I think they're still figuring out their role.
Well, they are.
We know who they are as players, but I think on this Lakers team, these guys are still figuring it out and trying to see what their roles are going to be, because it's been changed from week to week because of the injuries.
And then Frank Vogel, these rotations. I mean, I like this.
Again, that's part of the. As a coach, you got to try to figure it out.
Every day he shows up to the office, he don't know who he's gonna have.
Exactly. When you got all of these injury situations, like you got to shuffle. You shuffling guys in and out. You're trying to figure out which guy. Again, what combination. Who plays well with who. Who's the first guy coming off the bench? Who's the second guy coming off the bench? Who's gonna. When are you gonna get Westbrook out of there, all those different things. Who's going to control the ball? It's a lot of decisions that he's trying to figure out on the fly. So it's a tough job.
And let's not forget that we still have Kendrick Nunn as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when are
It's
all
a
these
lot of
people going to
moving parts.
play? How are these people going to be in the rhythm? Who's
That's
going
what
to
I
be on
mean.
the
Like
who's going to be on
I
the
don't
floor
envy
at
him,
the end of the
man.
game?
Yeah, I don't envy him at all because you got easily 10 guys that you can get minutes, 10, 15 to 20 plus minutes that you got to decide. 10
And they
guys. There's at
think they
least 10
deserve
guys
it.
that can play 15 to 20 minutes a night. So you're gonna have to pare it down to probably 7 or 8. And some guys are just not going to get the minutes that they want. And so I don't envy Frank Vogel because you got a lot of guys. Look, you got Wayne Ellington,
Malik
Monk, Kendrick Nunn. All of those guys are pretty much the same type of guy. Then you got Melo. You got what's the left-handed guy you was just talking about?
THT.
And then they got Reeves.
No, the guy that came from Golden State.
Bazemore.
Bazemore.
You got Bazemore. You got Ariza. All those guys play that same position.
Then Austin Reeves, who the Lakers like and LeBron love.
Like you got 3 to 4 guys. Like they got like the 2 or 2. It's like a football team. They got like a 2 or 3.
But the thing, Kenny, that's how we won our championship. Though, if you remember, because there was series where Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee didn't play. There was, like
that's
I said,
what I'm saying. So it's going to be one of those things where you got to be ready because you don't know when your number's going to be called. So you just got to, you got to
That's
stay
real
ready.
hard, especially in the playoffs when a lot of them haven't been there and done it.
Yeah. So it's not going to be easy. He's got a tough job.
And you got the league leader in turnovers running your offense.
Yeah, that part. That's the concern. And that
hey, I bet he'll have
that's the
2
most
turnovers tonight.
concerning thing you have. To
You
me,
said
that's
how many?
the biggest
2.
question.
All right. Good luck versus Chicago in that length and those athletic wings.
I'll say one thing: Alex Caruso better not be up power forward. If not, AD gonna be eating barbecue chicken tonight.
Yeah, he ain't gonna be
I'm definitely watching the Bulls and Lakers game tonight. That is
before against no AD. You could count on that.
They better not, because they started at the 4 last night, so they better not do it again.
Yeah, that was just.
I mean, Russ gonna throw 80 lobs out of bounds, so it don't really matter.
Man, did y'all see the play? He even had one play where he hit AD in the head. I'm like, bruh, like it don't get that bad. Like, honestly, the Lakers should have kept Lonzo Ball.
I'm gonna give Russ a little bit of a pass too.
They should have kept. I absolutely think they should have kept Lonzo. I thought it was a mistake watching them go to Pelicans.
Point guard, you got to know where everybody is on the floor. He's still learning where guys like the ball. He's still learning how to get his teammates going. So I think that's a byproduct of some of his turnovers. Is that he's still trying to figure out where to get guys the ball and when to give guys the ball. So I think those turnovers will come down.
He's
seen got to remember the second half of the season
that he think he can do when he ain't LeBron.
Well, he's never been that type of passer. He's been more of a passer once he couldn't get his, and then he gives it off. I think now he's going to have to get to the place where he's looking to get his guys going first and then get his second. That's going to be the next evolution.
He's never done that. That sounds great.
It does. To do that. And I don't know. And that's the great question. That's the $1 million question. Will Russell Westbrook sacrifice his numbers, sacrifice what he's been used to doing all these 10 plus years in the league for the sake of winning the championship?
So will he be a team player? That's what
I mean. Because all great
player?
teams, in order to win, you have to sacrifice. So that's going to be
Melo said the same thing until Melo was out the league. And then Melo realized, if I'm going to be a part of this league, I'm going to have to come off the bench. Yeah. Russ is still on that super max deal. He is not about to come off the bench. He's not taking a back seat. He has won MVPs. He's set the triple-double records with the ball in his hands. And now all of a sudden you want the guy that's come home to LA playing in front of his friends and family in hometown to start giving the ball up and getting other people involved. He's not that guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. He is not going to do that.
Well,
and that's what the Lakers need him to do, but he's not going to do it.
If he wants to win a championship, he's going to have to. He's going to have to sacrifice some part of
There's
his
not
game.
much about Russ's career that says he wants to win championships. In my opinion.
I
haven't seen it.
Well.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair.
One thing you're going to get with Russ, he's going to compete 100%. He's not going to cheat you. Hey, but sometimes that can be your weakness. I've always said this. Russell Westbrook, like Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant had a baby, they spit out Russell Westbrook. You talking about a guy that has that dog mindset that's going to do whatever it takes to win. Like if you tell this dude to go run out there in traffic to help him win, he's going to do it. He'll do whatever it takes. But the thing is, you need to have somebody, and that's why I said when Bron get back, it'll help because Bron can go to him and say, "Hey, slow it down. Hey, give me the ball. Let's do this." Because if somebody just a Joe Blow comes to him and say, hey, Russ, I think you should do this, you can be like, who are you? But if somebody like Bron come up to him and say,
or AD,
okay,
tell him like,
or AD,
I need
okay,
You don't think the people have ever gone up to Russell and said that? I mean, yeah, you think Bron's just going to have this magical power that could just
I think to your point, though, Jay, to your point, it's only been one guy because in OKC, it was just KD because Harden wasn't there long enough for him to be able to have it. Then with Houston, it was just Harden. So I think that's the part of the problem. Now you got in LA, you got AD and you got a LeBron. So if you got those two guys in your ear, like I think that can make a difference.
Hey, Kenny, you can arguably say the way Carmelo Anthony played.
Melo too, yeah. Melo got the resume too, absolutely.
But I mean, I think the other part is if I'm Russ and just being perfectly honest, do I really respect what is AD's resume? He's a phenomenal talent, but
he's a champion.
He won a champion once he got with LeBron. He's not somebody that I believe can go to Russell Westbrook and say, you need to change the way you play.
I think he has enough of a resume to be.
If James Harden couldn't do it, Anthony Davis can't do it.
But I think you got multiple guys, though. I could understand if you were saying if it was just AD saying it, then I can understand your point.
And you even got
AD, if you got LeBron, you got Carmelo, all of these guys with these extensive resumes and two guys with championship rings. Like I think
even Rondo.
Yeah, Rondo too. That's right. You got another.
You know what? I don't.
But Russ has to want to listen, and Russ may not want to listen. He just may still.
I think it's now or never, though. I think he's figuring. But that's to me. This is where the rubber meets the road because I think he starts to realize now that he's up in his 30s now. He's in his early 30s, and you don't know how many more chances you're going to get at winning a championship. And it's the only thing that's missing on his resume. So I think if it doesn't happen now, it's never going to happen. Like this is the only way that it can happen.
And I will say this: it's like, and then we can be done. Like I said, Russ, he have all the tools in LA. If he wants to learn how to be a great point guard, hey Rob, hey Jeannie, can you call Magic and see if he can, mentor me, if he can give me some pointers? Hey, you talking about a guy that lives in LA, played for the franchise, the greatest point guard in the game.
Picking up Rob Pelinka's calls, it's gonna have to be Jeannie.
Well, hey, Rob and Magic, they done fixed that, man. They done fixed that. Hey, Monday Magic gonna always love the Lakers. If they call them, come back there.
That is a great point, though. But another thing that you said, I think is really interesting, is that we always say about Russ is that he'll do anything that it takes to win. Now, this year is really going to tell us if he's willing to do anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a telltale sign for him.
This is it.
Because if you're not going to do it with Bron, AD, and Rondo.
I think that I agree. I think this year we'll see it. I don't think it'll happen. I think the other part that you lose is you say, I think it was the GOAT, I'll call you the GOAT, said, Freddie, in relation to Bron.
You can call me the GOAT.
In relation to Bron having the ball, I think if you take the ball out of
Russ's hands,
if you take the ball
out earlier when I was calling Kenny Keith.
Okay, yeah, I like the names up there since I'm newer. But
Me too.
When you have the ball out of Russ's hands and it's in Bron's hands, then what is Russ doing? Because he can't shoot. He's not going to necessarily cut to the basket and do great basketball things. So if you take the ball out of Russell's hands, you lose the best thing about Russell Westbrook. And at that point, he's not playing great defense. He can't shoot the ball. He's just on the floor, and they'll leave him open, and he's not going to knock down a high percentage. So I think
he ain't knocking down no threes.
So I think you really lose the value in Russell Westbrook if you take the ball out of his hands. But taking the ball out of his hands might be best for the team. So I don't see how that works either.
So it's a catch-22 for Russ, based on, and you're making good points. That's a catch-22 for the Lakers.
Well, I mean, for both of them too, because you could say the same thing about LeBron is that he's not as effective when he doesn't have the
I
ball
agree.
in his hands too. So it's just going to be one of those things where it's going to be a meeting of the minds, is where they're going to have to take turns and it's going to be sometimes where they have to maybe run a 1-3 pick and roll with LeBron and Russ. You're going to have those opportunities where you run a pick and roll with AD and Russ. You're going to have to just mix it up. And sometimes Russ is going to have to cut. Sometimes Russ is going to have to, sit down on that mid range. You may not have to spot up for the three. You might have to spot up for the mid range, take a dribble in and take that mid range shot. So
but that's where the chemistry comes in, though.
The best be effective.
That's where chemistry comes in, and that's why I say Bron's got to be on the court to develop that chemistry with Westbrook, and then Westbrook has to want to be able to build that chemistry with them and understand when he can and cannot use that ball, and that comes from filling out your teammates and doing that muscle memory.
Yeah, but it takes time. That's what's
going
to be so hard about.
But they ain't got a lot of it.
That's the point. Is that they got so many new pieces that you got to all figure out. And just this is kind of and kind of off the subject, but it kind of ties in. This is what makes, to me, that's what made Coach Calipari so good with all those Kentucky teams, is that they would bring those freshmen in every year, and they would have to remake that roster every year and figure out the chemistry on the fly. And this is what Frank Vogel's going to have to do. You got a roster that's just 1 year, you all in, kind of like the Rams, where you got all these guys. You got to subjugate egos. Everybody's got to sacrifice. Everybody's got to be all in for the team and figure out how we're going to best figure out the way to win. So that's why he gets paid the big bucks.
And real quick for the Lakers supporters. So at the end of the game, if Russell Westbrook's on the court, who do you think Russell Westbrook thinks will give them the best chance to win?
I see where you're going, Ray.
Anthony Davis.
I see where you're going.
Russell Westbrook does not think
see where you're going.
Anthony Davis gives him the best chance to win. And if he's the point guard and that ball touches his hands, it's going up.
Real quick, not to push the content off the Lakers, but when it comes to the Wizards, one question was how far can the Wizards go? One thing about the Wizards I've noticed is the fact they're not relying on Bradley Beal to get to the record that they have. They're actually using all the other guys that they have on that team, which to me is why I think that they could be better than the Lakers, because the Lakers have all the pieces, but they're not.
All right, you guys.
They're not relying on that one specific guy.
Jay McLovin just gave his.
They're not relying on that one guy.
Just show his delusional moment to say the Wizards are going to be better than the Lakers.
Hey, listen, listen, you ain't got to have all the best players, Freddie. You just got to be able to play as a team.
It is about
a team, you can win.
To his point, I will say it's all about chemistry. When a basketball is one of the game, or is one of the sports where chemistry makes a huge difference, because you got 5 guys that all got to play on the string. They all got to communicate. They all got to play for each other and not just with each other. So right now, that's what they're flowing, because that ball is moving around. You got everybody eating. You got Trez eating. You got Dinwiddie eating. You got Bill eating. You know what I'm saying? So even Gafford, he's had some games where he scored in double figures. So you got a different guy at different nights that's stepping up. And and to the point that Ray was saying earlier, you're still waiting for Rui to come back. You still got the rookie Kispert who's trying to figure out his way. So they got a lot of talent. You got KCP. They got guys that could, at any time that you could get 10 or 15 points from 5 or 6 guys. Yeah. That makes you really dangerous, because you don't know who you're going to key on each and every night. And I think that's why they've been so successful coming out of the gate.
I'll be honest with you. Hey, Fred, even though the Lakers look good on paper don't mean it don't mean nothing. All it matters is what you translate onto the court.
Got to translate onto the floor.
And I've seen teams that have less star power come away with championships.
I think the other.
If you don't know that, look at the Boston Red Sox when they went down 3-1. They came back and won the whole thing. Look at the Houston Rockets when they went down 0-3 and came back and won the whole thing. It can happen, man. You don't have to all the star power. You just got to have the concept of team play and believe in each other.
And I think to go along with that, I think there is chemistry. But you got a bunch of people similar to what we saw with the New Orleans trade, a bunch of people with chips on their shoulders. Kyle Kuzma has been the joke of the league for the longest time. I even
mentioned Kuzma,
and he's trying to prove that I'm more than that guy that you saw. I'm more than Shaq and the Fool. KCP was a clutch client. They shipped him out. There's a bunch of people. Spencer Dinwiddie, Brooklyn said, you can go on. We're good without you after your injury. So it's a bunch of people playing for contracts. It's a bunch of people playing with a chip on their shoulder. And there's a bunch of people that play defense. They're willing to lock down, and they've shown that under this new coach, and I didn't know a lot about Wes Unseld Jr., but he's got them playing on both ends of the ball. They're sharing the ball. They're moving people in and out. There's good chemistry. And like you said, they're not relying on one player. I do get concerned when you get in tight games and the playoffs. If you don't have a go-to guy, we've seen that go. We saw that with the Clippers, where they didn't have really a go-to guy in the playoffs, and it really hurt them. So I will think they will need to define a role for somebody. I think Dinwiddie's the best option, but I think they got what it takes if they can stay healthy. If they stay healthy and they stay focused, I think they can do some things.
Well, I think that's where, Brad Beal has to take that next step. I think if he becomes, for the Wizards, in order for the Wizards to be successful in the playoffs, he has to be that guy. He has to be that go-to guy, I think. And I think that's also what's going to, because, we haven't really been giving Brad Beal his credit these last few years. Like, he's been putting up some big-time numbers, and it's been because he hasn't been on the winning team. And now that he's on the winning team, and I think if he's the go-to guy, then he starts to get that credit and get in the conversation, and we start to talk about him as being a star and being a superstar, in this league. So I think in order for them to be great, I think Bradley Beal has to be that go-to guy.
Yeah, much love to you for coming on as well, Miss Kelsey.
Absolutely, Kelsey. It was great having you on, no doubt.
Well, go Redskins. Not really. Not really.
No, you mean the WFT, Washington.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, you know what? I still can't get used to this whole name change.
We getting a new name next year. We'll be back.
Yeah, y'all definitely got to get a new name.
Have they decided on that yet?
Well, they haven't picked the name, but they said next year they will finalize whichever team it is. It's narrowed down, I think, like 8 people or 8 names or something like that.
That's too hard to remember watching a football team. It doesn't seem organic to say
Watch they change it to Washington Football Club.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, that
would be horrible. That'd be horrible. That'd be like
that make them sound like a soccer team.
Club. No.
Yeah,
I think the Red Tails, Red Wolves. I think Red Wolves would be pretty cool.
Never seen one, but I can go with it.
Well, anything but football team. That's like the corniest name ever. So anything's gonna be an upgrade from that.
Yep.
All right. I guess this is a wrap, fellas.
Yes, indeed. Good times.
Thank you for joining ASAP Real Talk again. I want to say special shout out to Miss Nelson for coming on and for all the comments that we've had. It's awesome to talk to everybody, and it makes the show so much more interesting when we get comments from the fans. And we appreciate each and every one of you. And we will see you on Thursday for another show. Shout out for ASAP Real Talk.
Peace.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we're making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation.